Hi.
My name is.
What?
My name is.
Huh?
My name is.
Dr. Goggins. Hi.
My name is.
What?
My name is.
Who?
My name is.
The guy. Hi, kids. You like pie tips? Not pie tips. You want to see me close both my eyelids? I get real close. I'm quicker than most. Let me be clear. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I take my Talkie Joe drugs and give super long hugs. I'm also an ice cream guy. Hi.
My name is.
What?
My name is.
Huh?
My name is.
Rogue rival. Stop the tape. I need to be changed.
Maybe get another boost.
Get the f*** out of here. I keep getting it.
Sorry.
My thing didn't pass. Then I fell on my ass. Off a bike that wasn't even going too fast. No, I'm serious. I flew to Crown Pimp Obama. He's a real bad dude. Gave him a little fist bump because I didn't want to be rude. Gas is still $18. What are you guys talking about? It's alright, the economy's strong. And I couldn't be prouder of my boy Hunty's dog. I'm the next guy. So stop your searching. And if you don't vote for me, you ain't a black guy person. Hi.
My name is.
What?
Who are you,
Who?
man?
Jabrock Jabryden. Thank you, and God bless America. Smile at camera. Sniff Sleepy, who's my name? Hunty and the big guy. DC Records.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nostra D'Angeli here, the man with the predictions. It's only me right now. I'm hoping Amber Harris joins us shortly. She was going to be on the show tonight. Don't know what's happening with that. I know Shane had some commitment to go to some events. A lot of people are going to these campaign parties, which, let me just fix my little Nostra D'Angeli mustache here. People have a lot of commitments, and some of you might know, I think I mentioned it on a previous show, Cynthia has been working for Ryan Kelly's campaign, so that's why she hasn't been on the show for quite some time. But that, you know what, let me just let me just dispense with this after I just point out, as I said on Sunday, I've seen enough. 10% has come in. Tudor Dixon is the nominee. That was to be predicted. We did get that one right. I might be giving some predictions on some races before we take a look at the results, but yeah, the results are coming in, folks. So there's a lot of races to watch tonight. Oh my gosh. All right, let me hear this stupid outfit here. Hold on. I've made a terrible mistake. All right, we'll just let the beard hang from the headphone cable for a moment there. All right, guys. All right, we've got a lot of races to watch. How's everybody doing tonight? Say hello in the chat. That reminds me, I actually need to open up the stream on Rumble so I don't miss the Rumble chats. I do see people on YouTube and Facebook, of course, but Rumble's an up-and-coming platform. We really hope it takes off, but they definitely have some things to work out for streamers. All right. Purist on Rumble says, great opening, lol. Yeah, by the way, that was Kyle Dunnigan. If you haven't heard of him, he's done a whole lot of great comedic videos using that face-shifting technology. A lot of fun Alec Baldwin bits. You should definitely check him out. He's on YouTube. I don't know if he's on Rumble or everything else. Yeah, Patty P says she's exhausted. She's been at TCF since 5 a.m. I don't know when I'll be allowed to leave. Wow, you're watching on your phone. That's amazing. Folks, we're gonna look at the election results for a lot of the races that we're watching. Daniel Lawless here for a great show and a great night. Daniel, let us know, buddy. You are a candidate, and we have a few candidates, friends of the show, whose election night is tonight. And if you guys are winning, certainly we'd like to have you on. We'd be happy to have you on either way, but I assume you would not want to be. And, you know, my experience with campaigns is, you know, going into the election, you have a vibe, but you really just don't know. You don't know until it's over. And I know what you're going through, Daniel, and for everybody else who's running for office, how hard it is in this moment to just kind of have to wait, you know, and that it takes so long. You know, it's 9:00 p.m. and the polls closed at 8. You wouldn't think it would take even this long for the results to come in, but Yeah, they do take time, and you're on the edge of your seat from one end to the other. But anyway, I've got a whole bunch of clerks websites pulled up and some news websites pulled up. So we're going to look at a lot of races. But first, just to start it off, of course, the first thing is the governor race. And as is it Dave Weigel, the guy whose catchphrase is "I've seen enough." He does a lot of election reporting, and when he calls a race, that's what he always says: "I've seen enough." This is the here. Let me share the screen. Hold on one sec. This is the election results on USA Today. We'll look at multiple sources, and folks, you know, especially for everybody who's running for like state house, state senate, and you guys who are monitoring these races, if you have your local clerks' websites pulled up, let me know what you are seeing. Let me know what you guys are seeing, because I can't look at everything at once. This is the USA Today, so they're reporting with 10% reporting, and it's, you know, Tudor Dixon is way in the lead. So, I mean, I don't see any particular geographic reason why it would be different elsewhere. So, yeah, it's what everybody was pretty much predicting. She got the Trump endorsement, and she had the DeVos support, and she wasn't that terrible of a candidate, honestly, in the first place. We talked about that a bit on Sunday's show, but happy to talk to people, happy to engage the chat. If you guys are mad about whatever my particular comments are, we can talk about them. I'm happy to. I really do enjoy that. I do like the back and forth. I do like, you know, being questioned. But anyway, now hold on. Where'd Rumble go? I have to. Okay, I must have lost Rumble somewhere. Hold on. I don't want. Yeah, Ed Wynn says they already called it for Dixon. Does anybody really believe that? I do, Ed. I mean, the results have come in, and she's at more than double the results of any of the opponents. So, yeah. Michelle Lee says those results came out last week that Tudor won. Fraud much? You know, we talked about this on the show the Sunday before last, and this was a nothing burger, folks. You have to understand how websites work. And I do understand. I mean, I've done everything on the the Rescue Michigan website. It's all hand coded, every single bit of it. I'm not just the content person. I'm also the tech person. And when they have these pages that are displaying live results, what's happening is this web page is it's displaying results that are being live queried from a database, and this database is pulling in tons and tons of stuff in real time. And so they have to test the software that they are building to make this able to work on election night. And web developers are lazy and careless. And again, I know that firsthand because I have done things like this too, where the page that's not supposed to be live because you're still doing testing goes live. But when you're testing things, you have to plug in BS data. That's what happened. That's what they all said happened. That's what makes sense happened. No, these results aren't inauthentic, folks. I mean, we've had pollsters talking about this. The polls all have showed she was pulling away. My impression from talking to voters at the polls today, I mean, everything else, these are exactly the results that we would expect. NC says, looks like Gibbs is going to unseat Meyer. Oh, shoot. I almost swore there. Yeah, we've got a lot of races to cover. And yeah, obviously the governor was top of the list. And I do want to get back to talking about the governor's race. There's going to be a period probably where there's a lull, where there's not much stuff coming in, and we can kind of unpack some of these things. So if we're going to go race by race by race by race, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. And we talked a bit about the Tudor Dixon versus everybody else thing on Sunday's show, but we still want to talk about more. Yeah, so let's take a look. Let's see what they're saying in the John gives, whoa, 2% counted, so it's not entirely certain there. Let me see. I've got somewhere here. Okay, this is my Kent County Clerk's website. Let me refresh the page. Sometimes they auto refresh. They're only saying 1% in, so it's early. Again, they're showing same thing with Tudor Dixon, but and we'll look at the state. I mean, folks, I've got a list of like 40 or more races I want to take a look at for state house, state senate, Congress. So we've got a lot of races to check out. And we're also going to tell you tonight which races that we got involved in and not, of course, I'm not saying that we expressly advocated for any candidate's victory or defeat, but in certain places we did opt to inform voters about important things they might want to know about some candidates. We, other than pointing out we did go after Peter Meyer's record, did not say what else we were doing up until now because we don't like to give our enemies that information. But tonight we will lay it all out. We will tell you what we did. We will see how we did. We will see if your donations, your support was money well spent. So we'll see. Anyway, okay, so where's the John Gibbs race? Where is that? What am I looking at here? Oh, this must be the Democrat side. Hold on. Let's scroll down. Let's do this. Yeah. Why is Gibbs not on this list? This is the Kent County. Are you kidding me? Can I change it to, select contest. Yeah, okay, here we go. Representing Congress, 3rd District. What do we have? Where's the totals? They got nothing. They got nothing here. But here, so maybe this is coming from Ottawa County. USA Today is reporting 2.5% estimated vote counted, and Gibbs is way, way ahead. Awesome. Peter Meyer, of course, was a hardcore Trump impeacher. He supported the red flag legislation, total enemy of the Constitution, total fraud, enemy of the American people. Amazingly, the Democrats actually supported John Gibbs, saying he was more beatable. Apparently, they didn't learn from trying that strategy with Donald Trump. So there you go. We will see. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's see what this county by county results page tells us, if anything. Yeah, okay, so the results that have come in so far are only coming in from Ottawa County. But first indication looks like a good sign. Hold on, I forgot to reopen my Rumble chat. Let me get back to looking at Rumble. Yeah, Purist says Meyer has been a disgrace. Really makes me miss Amash. Of course, Amash was a Never Trumper also, although before becoming a Never Trumper, Amash was like a pretty principled libertarian type, good on a lot of things that few congressmen were. He posted explanations for all of his votes. Yeah, I mean, to be worse than Justin Amash, and like I said, Amash's single terrible thing about him is just hatred of Donald Trump really spun him around. But yeah, Meyer's been even worse. So it looks like he's going to be sent packing. That's another win for President Trump. Michelle Lee says Trump listens to the wrong people. I wish he would learn. I agree, Michelle. I agree. And that's not to say I'm entirely sure that the Tudor Dixon endorsement was the wrong move, but you're certainly right in general. I can think of a lot of endorsements I've been furious about. And unfortunately, I think after he left office, a lot of us had the hope that once he was out to pasture, he would, be re-examining the wisdom of hiring people like Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo and all the rest of them. It does not look like he has learned much at all. Yeah, Nathan Mahan says Amash started out great, then got a bad case of TDS. I mean, that's the thing, folks. It's not even just Trump derangement syndrome with politics in general and what's happened to the left. It's that when you invest yourself in an idea, first emotionally, but then publicly, this is how delusions begin. You start out thinking something, the something turns out to be wrong, but now you're emotionally, psychologically invested in it, and that will take you down in the most completely deranged, rabbit holes where, that is what makes people crazy. That is what makes people completely hostile to reality. It's what makes people delusional. It's a slippery slope from doing the wrong thing, can't admit it, you have to believe you're right, and you just go deeper and deeper and deeper until you're filtering everything that you don't agree with. Everything you don't agree with just doesn't exist. You don't hear it, you don't see it. That is how delusion, that's where it comes from. And where that happened with Justin Amash was sad to see. I mean, I know a lot of people who had good points about Trump's shortcomings before he got into office. You know, who pointed out, you know, a lot of things about like his womanizing and stuff like that. But most people looked at that and were like, well, yeah, everybody's got flaws, but his are, I mean, they're on balance, not, I mean, they're not the biggest deal in the world. And for some people like Justin Amash, they're like, no, this guy clearly is evil. And it just went farther and farther and farther. Michelle Lee says, I admit that I didn't vote for Tudor and I don't care for her, but if she wins, I will vote for her because we need Whitmer gone. I agree, Michelle, and we put this on, we talked about this a lot on Sunday's stream too. I think we all have to set boundaries for what is too much, being a rhino. And obviously, a lot of people, Peter Meyer, of course, clearly, I mean, I would vote for a Democrat over Peter Meyer because they care more about evicting him from power than even keeping that congressional seat. Tudor Dixon, to me, does not rise to the level of being such a total rhino that we should be attacking her. She is great on most issues and only fair on a few others. I mean, the worst thing people have said about her is she's endorsed by the DeVosses. Well, that's not, you know, that's not the end of the world. Stephen Ghostley says, I did not support her, but we'll support her 100%. Yeah, and by the way, folks, I've been coy about it. I will just tell you, I did vote for Garrett Soldano. I don't think my co-host did. And next time they're on the show, we can talk about that. My view of it, frankly, the way I looked at it was this. Ralph Rebant was polling at 0%. He was okay as a candidate, but was he ever really viable? Not really. And as a political person, I mean, that to me, that's important. Like, if you're going to run for high office, you have to have the resources to be able to compete at all. And that's not raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's raising millions of dollars. He could have been a great candidate for state house, state senate, whatever. Ryan Kelly said all of the right things. To me, being at January 6th, and not just being there, but being on a scaffold, directing people to go into the Capitol was extraordinarily irresponsible. If he was the nominee, it would have been devastating. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is, you know, the establishment lost their picks for Attorney General and Secretary of State. If the outsider got the nomination for governor, the entire conservative political moneyed establishment would just walk away from Michigan. We'd be routed completely. We need some balance on the ticket. Soldano, I think, barely even qualified to that. But the important thing about Soldano to me was he was outspoken. He was hardcore against the lockdowns, against the mandates, against all that stuff. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. He has his shortcomings too. Namely, he's a resume enhancer, and he takes credit for work that other people did. But, you know, I mean, that's kind of the stick Trump had too. He would have been an alpha dog in the governor's mansion. And I kind of like that. And, you know, Amber, I think, has said, if not on the show, certainly off stream to me, yeah, but he's a complete jerk to people. You know, but there's a certain number of people. I mean, people say the same thing about Trump. Trump uses people. And, you know, the attitude with Trump was, yeah, he's an alpha and he's a bully, but he's our bully. And Soldano was echoing that. But at the end of the day, yeah, he did not have the resources. He had a lot of resources from his grassroots group, not enough, unfortunately, to be competitive. All the same, though, of the five, I liked him the best, or maybe I should say disliked him the least. And so I voted for him, knowing full well at that point. I voted absentee on Friday. It was already on the wall that Tudor was going to win anyway. But yeah, I've got nothing against Tudor, particularly other than her stance on university funding. That's a problem. The thing that we need to do now, folks, is help Tudor Dixon be better. Because now is the time when these candidates that have won are now getting mutated by their consultants who are telling them, trust us, if you want to win, you got to do this. People have been talking about this too. She's suddenly not talking about election fraud. That's a real problem. That's a real problem because Matt DePerno is talking about election fraud and Christina Karamo is talking about election fraud. What Tudor Dixon needs to do is talk about election fraud with strong rigorousness to the record, to the facts, to keeping it on things we can prove, like the impeding of poll challengers, the illegal refusal to verify signatures, things like that. the lawsuits that are still taking place over these issues. The FBI ensnaring innocent people to sway public opinion in October. That counts as election rigging in my book, folks, as opposed to the things we can't prove, namely the gnomes of Zurich rigging the election machines. Patty P says Tudor has no rigorousness. She has no depth. Yeah, I could say that about Trump, too. Trump is also not rigorous. He also has no depth. That's why he needs to hear from people to help him to be better. And if we want Trump to win and we want Tudor to win, that is the job. Don't be completely hostile. Don't be a destructive force. Be a helpful force. Help her find the wisdom that she will not get from her consultants. That's where that is. Anyway, all right. There's a lot of chats that I need to catch up on. And I'm seeing things in Rumble as well. Let's look at some other races, though, folks. I've got a long list of races I want to check out. It may be premature. There might not be enough results in yet, but there's a lot of races I want to cover. So Gibbs versus Myers, has there been any movement in that since I started yapping? Let's go back and see. Let's refresh. Nope, nothing more on that. So we'll see where that goes. The 6th district, mildly interested in that. It's going to be a blowout. Ooh, wow. Well, 42% counted already. Holy moly. Everybody that I know personally was supporting Hema Kalana-Goretti. But wow, that's a close race. In the end, it doesn't really matter, honestly, on account of it's a Democrat seat. I'm sorry to break it to you folks, because I know some of you are really, trying hard for her. But I mean, that will be a tough seat for any Republican to win under any circumstances. So yeah, that's a lot closer than I thought. It's strange to me that we have intense competition for the nomination in seats that are hopelessly Democratic anyway. I mean, it's like there's like multiple candidates competing for Rashida Tlaib's seat and things like that. But I do want to check on that because I know a lot of people support Hema. But that's where it is now. The 7th congressional district. This is an interesting one. Let's see where we are here. Ooh, Matt Sealy getting blown out. Paul Young, first off, if anyone that doesn't know, Candace Miller is not the former Congressman Candace Miller. That's a completely different person. Just happens to have the same name. But I know some people were excited about Matt Sealy. He's clearly getting blown out. Again, 7% in, so we'll see if that changes. But it looks like Paul Young's winning now. Paul Young, for those who don't know, Paul Young used to work at, I think he was a newscaster for some time. Then he went to Washington to work for Border Patrol. But it was like, I mean, he styled himself he ran it 2 years ago in the 8th congressional seat, which is like Livingston County, Ingham County, and North Oakland County, and styled himself as a Trump appointee just because he happened to work at Customs and Border Patrol, but he was a bureaucrat there. So he lost to Alyssa Slotkin, so now he's carpetbagged over, and now he's running against, I guess it will be Dale Kildee, which may or may not be a winnable seat. There was some question about whether or not he would be able to raise money or whether he spent all of his money running 2 years ago. We did not follow this race closely. We did not do anything in this race at all. Didn't have enough information about it. Congressional races are challenging. The ones that we were going to be focused on was going to be, first was going to be just Peter Meijer and Fred Upton, but then obviously Upton had to retire. So we put what we could in the congressional races in attack ads on Peter Meijer for his support for the sham impeachment, the red flag laws, and everything else. So not the outcome I wanted, but I mean, look, that's the reason why we didn't get involved in that race, was we didn't have confirmation that was really in play. We didn't know. And it turns out we were right. Patty P says, Whitney did zero campaigning, inactive website, and the Detroit News endorsed her. Yeah, the Detroit News will always endorse the bad candidate all the time. I'm going to show you guys something, folks. This is a telling tweet that I just posted a little while ago. This is from Chad Livengood. Chad Livengood, if you don't know, is the political editor of the Detroit News. Look at this tweet that he posted at 12:30 today. On the outskirts of Howell, most Republican voters I interviewed said they voted for Tudor Dixon because Trump endorsed her. Asked women what he thought of Rinky. I don't need a multimillionaire. I need someone in the trenches, he said. Like Trump, his wife added. Do you see what Chad Livengood is doing here, folks? Do you see this? Do you see the hatred and the contempt that this Detroit News editor has for you, for every voter? Because here's his obvious point. Look at these idiots. Look at these people who are so fucking stupid. They don't know Trump's a multimillionaire. That's the point he's trying to make. No. These people knew exactly what they were saying. Of course they knew Trump was a multimillionaire. Everybody in America knows Trump's a multimillionaire. They were saying, I don't need another out-of-touch millionaire who just is going to swoop in and spend his money and get my vote. I want someone who's in the trenches and fights like Trump. That's what they were saying. And this piece of shit, Chad Livengood, thinks he's so much better. And he posts this tweet. To brag about how smart he is and how stupid they are. These ignorant shits, these Trump supporters don't even know Trump is a millionaire. These people are scum. If the Detroit News endorses anybody, that should be, again, this might go to, people like the DeVos is endorsing people. But if Detroit News ever endorses anybody, you should be skeptical. Because they are evil, evil people who hate you and sneer at you and take your statements out of context, because that's the trash that they are. They're elitists. And they love anytime they can look down at you and laugh at you. Fuck them. That's Chad Livengood. So, no surprise the Detroit News endorsed some nobody who's not even campaigning. What do they care? They're supporting Debbie Dingell, who won her seat the old-fashioned way. She inherited it. By the way, folks, what are you all drinking tonight? I've got a Glenlivet 12-year. It is not all that special, honestly. I wanted to get a Lafroig, but the store I happened to stop at didn't have any. So, quick whiskey review. Yeah. Sweet, floral. Not my cup of tea. I like whiskey that tastes like you're drinking a campfire. People in the chat keep saying Haley Stevens going to crush Andy Levin. That's hilarious. Is that where is that here? Is that we're looking at the 11th? We haven't even gotten to the here's one I was looking at. Wow. Ambrose against the Notters, 27% in, and Ambrose is killing it. Oof. We should maybe have Amber. Well, Shane probably can't weigh in on that one because on account of he's the 11th district chair, he's got to be neutral. But I'd be curious what Amber's thoughts on that. I didn't pay close attention to either of them very much. At the end of the day, probably money meant more than anything else. Yeah, Haley Stevens is winning the Democrat primary. If I was Mark Ambrose, I'd be queuing up that footage of Haley Stevens screaming and yelling and crying on the floor of the House of Representatives. Michelle Lee says some news station told the Democrats to go out today and vote for the weakest Republican for governor. Nothing new though. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway. And by the way, folks, in my experience, the only time that the Democrats are really able to get their people to mobilize to vote in the Republican primary is when there's no contest in the Democrat primaries. Because if there is, they want to vote in those. So, like, for example, in this congressional district, the Democrats are voting in the Democrat primary. They can't vote in the Republican primary because they want to vote for Stevens or Levin. When there's only one Democrat, and the Democrat Party is a lot better than the Republican Party is at weeding out candidates who don't have the support and discouraging them from running and withdrawing and dropping out so that they almost have no choice in their primaries. But, this time, some places do, some places don't. So, yes, was there crossover voting? Of course there was. Was it enough to make the difference in the governor race? Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. I'm sure the opponents will say that, but they shouldn't. There's not enough evidence of it because the other thing, again, we talked about this on Sunday night stream too. One attitude of the Democrats is let's vote for the weakest Republican, the most beatable Republican. The other, so let me clarify. What does weakest Republican mean? Does it mean most beatable, or does it mean least conservative? Because that varies from race to race. In some races where it's a safe Republican seat, you'd want to elect the Democrat would want to elect the least conservative Republican. But in a swing seat, the Democrat would want to elect the most beatable Republican. And those things conflict. Well, how are the Democrat Party operatives who understand this distinction, this strategic niche here, going to explain that to thousands and thousands and thousands of voters and expect them to understand it? I mean, if you guys were working the polls today, did you talk to some voters? They're not going to follow all of that. So it's a confusing strategy. It probably confused their base to the extent they tried it. So was there a Democrat meddling in these races? To some extent, in some places. Was it enormous and decisive? Well, I mean, let's look at some, but I haven't seen evidence of that yet. All right, anyway. So yeah, Ambrose, and again, we did nothing in this race. Ambrose is apparently beating Donato by a lot, and it's 31% in now. More than half in, and Stevens is well ahead of Andy Levin. Too bad. Levin was like the more normal candidate. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that the 11th looks like demographically a very tough race for Republicans to win anyway. So maybe it doesn't matter, but I don't think it hurts us that the more lunatic Democrat is winning in that race. Janice Winfrey getting stomped by Rashida Tlaib, 10% in. I don't know Janice Winfrey though. Those don't know, Janice Winfrey was the Detroit city clerk. So maybe she's got some ace up her sleeve. We'll see. But it looks like Rashida, of course, and this is what you expect. Rashida has the incumbency advantage, even with redistricting. And again, Democrats like to nominate lunatics. So Rashida is even more up their alley than Janice's. So, all right. Let's just do a quick check to see if there's any news on the 3rd, since this page has been refreshing. 7% in. Meyer is closing the gap a bit, but still John Gibbs 17 points ahead. So good for John Gibbs. We were happy to help remind voters in that district about Peter Meyer's betrayals against the U.S. Constitution. I almost hope that John Gibbs wins by a narrower majority, just because that will show that every little thing he did, like that vote he gave a couple weeks ago for the red flag funding legislation, that Democrats didn't even need his vote on that one. But Peter Meyer just so desperately wanted to make it possible for left-wing lunatics to declare open season on conservatives and have people deprived of their right to defend themselves, have their guns confiscated, be dragged before a court to earn their right to bear arms back based on whatever any random left-wing maniac claims. Peter Meyer wanted to vote for that. He wanted to vote for that. I'd love to see that vote cost him his seat. Because what people on the ground were telling me in Kent County was that voters were more angry about that red flag vote than they were about the impeachment vote. So if that vote costs him his seat, that will be a huge, huge victory for the Second Amendment community. And we will be pleased to have helped them with that. All right. So those are the congressional races we were looking at. We will check back in with them in a moment. But now we got tons and tons of state legislative seats to look at. And some of them we were involved in. So let's see. I think this website actually has everything. I mean, I've got the clerk's websites pulled up, but let's just see what else they've got here. Yeah, okay, Michigan State Senate. Let's go. I think first off on my list was District 4. This was interesting. We got no data here at all yet. The reason why this was interesting is because this was a race that Adam Kinzinger, the Trump impeaching left-wing lunatic Republican in name only from Illinois, who is retiring because the voters were going to reject him anyway, who sits on the January 6th sham committee, dropped like $250,000 into a bunch of Michigan races, telling Democrats to vote in Republican primaries. This race, I think they were trying to attack James Chapman, but I don't know enough about this race. It's only mildly on our radar. We didn't do anything in this race. Just curious to see how it turns out. Stephen Ghosty says 80% in Detmer, 16 or so. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. 7th district. Wait, well, let's have my list here. No, the next I had on my list was the 12th. The 12th. Nothing in yet. All right, we'll keep moving. Okay, 16th. Mildly curious. Bellino versus Clements. Oh yeah, and this is what I would have predicted. Bellino way ahead. For those who don't know, so Joe Bellino is, I think, a 3rd-term state rep. TC Clements is in his 1st term. They're both from Monroe County. They're both running for the same state Senate seat. Bellino is very well known in the district for 2 things. One is he's a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, and we know that because he campaigns on it, which is a smart strategy if that's what your past is. But also the other thing he's known for is calling everybody babe. Everybody. Strangers and friends, men, women, everybody is babe. Babe. Hey, babe. Hey, how you doing, babe? Babe, 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 babe. He calls everybody that. The other thing about Bellino versus Clements that got me mildly interested in this race was that TC Clements was the sponsor of that cannabis cartel legislation, which I think he thought was going to be popular. Bellino, I'm trying to remember if Bellino, we ran an ad in Monroe County in the newspaper about how TC Clements created a cannabis cartel, was pushing a bill for a cannabis cartel, and we kind of tagged Bellino too, saying we don't know how Bellino's going to vote on this. And Bellino got mad and said, "Oh, we're gonna." I was almost gonna vote no on this bill, but now I'm leaning yes because I'm so mad at you, which is just fucking BS. But yeah, we hit Clements hard about that, and Bellino was going to likely win this anyway because he was just a longer term incumbent, more entrenched. But seeing and by the way, we didn't do anything in this campaign either because two rhinos, who cares? Bellino is terrible though on most things. Especially really bad on energy, policy, total prostitute for the utility monopolies. He was, I think, chair of the energy committee, either this term or the last term, which is especially shameful because the utility monopolies actually assassinated politically an opponent of theirs, Gary Glenn, when he ran for state senate. They dropped millions of dollars meddling in that primary. And lawmakers should have wised up and passed legislation hostile to them and said, no, you attack one of us, you attack all of us. They didn't. They chickened out. And then they put Clements, they put Bellino in charge of the energy committee, who just did their bidding for the next 2 years, sending a clear message to DTE and Consumers Energy. We are your bitches. And so Bellino and TC Clements, who cares? But Bellino won. So there you go. All right. Next. Oh ho. Here's one we did play in. Jonathan Lindsay, 20 points up over Kim Lasada. Woo! Let me see if I've got the mailing we did in that district. I want to show you guys. See, we choose our battles smartly, folks. There's some of these races that were foregone conclusions. There's some of these races where it's not worth getting involved in. This one was very interesting to us. Kim Lasada, generally speaking, a run-of-the-mill rhino. But one thing she was really bad about is her main thing is being chair of the Higher Education Appropriations Committees in the House and the Senate. And she has been absolutely hardcore at giving these left-wing, statist, fascist universities, University of Michigan, MSU, Wayne State, these brainwashing centers, more and more money every single year. Awful. These people who hate our guts, who are brainwashing next generation, whose funding should be cut dramatically, who trample on the civil rights of students. She's like, oh, these universities are so great and so amazing. I want to give them more and more money. And of course, the universities give her plenty of perks for all of that. So we did get involved. And we informed the people of that district with a mailing that went out pretty far and wide into that Senate seat. Let me pull this up for you. Hold on. Let's see here. Now, we didn't hit her so much on the university funding because that's not the biggest issue in the minds of the average generic voter. But what we did do was we put this out. Let me show you. This is side one. So side one we did. Kim Losada's voting score, minus 200. Voted yes to have voters approve a constitutional amendment to double term limits for most state lawmakers from 3 terms in the House to 6 and entrenched lawmakers. By the way, folks, this was a 6x11 mailing, so almost a full sheet of paper. So it might look small on your screen. It looked big on the page. Voted yes to extend county commissioner terms from 2 years to 4 years, making them less accountable to voters and easily entrenched in power. Sense the theme? Voted yes on every corporate welfare scheme to put to a vote in her political career. $2.5 billion in total subsidies. Citation. Led her own corporate welfare subsidy scheme, SB 769, now law to create a new taxpayer fund for investment-ready sites for the benefit of certain developers. I am getting a text. I will check it only because it might be somebody important. It is not. But we may have some guests coming on, so we'll see. Read the full report behind Kim Losada's negative 200 score at rescuemichigan.com/KLS. So we're doing a couple of things here. We're smacking Kim Losada hard. We're smacking her on issues that are going to piss off almost everybody. Term limits, corporate welfare schemes, and we're promoting our website. So that was side one. Let me show you what the other side looked like. Let me find it here. Here we go. Here's side two. Lansing lobbyists love Losada. Senate Bill 85, authorize new corporate subsidies. Yes, subsidies, all this garbage she supported. Kim Losada never saw a corporate welfare subsidy she didn't support. For the casino, there's an extra slap here. And again, folks, this looks like a lot of text for a campaign mailing. The rule is obviously don't go crazy with too much text, but I do like to put in as much as I can because I like to make as many points as I can. I want to be hard hitting. I want to inform voters. The typical Lansing crowd does the opposite. They use very short messages that say almost nothing. That's not my style. And of course, you shouldn't have your style override what's smart to do. But within the limits of what's effective, my stance is put in as many hard-hitting points as you can. Because the alternative is to not make these points. So yeah, these bunch of numbers, yeah, but there's a visual to make it kind of easy to see. This. When reads any of this, they're like, really? And the other thing too about using more of these points is you have to understand politics is divisive. And the more you throw at somebody, the more, if they see one thing they don't like, they're angry. That works against any campaign's positive mailings. If you say, I'm pro-life and pro-gun and pro-border and pro-this and pro-this and pro-this, the voters are going to go, if they disagree with any one of those things, they're done with you. But on the converse side, if you say, Kim Losada voted for this and this and this and this and this, you might agree with one or two of these votes. But it won't matter if you see this and this and this, and you're like, oh God, are you serious? The more that you throw at them, the more like, ugh. So anyway, let me remove myself so you guys can read what I just put at the bottom here, because this is a funny one. This is a vote they took. And I'm talking about the political impetus behind some of these choices in a second here, too. For the casinos, Losada even voted to authorize an income tax deduction for gambling losses. SB 764. And again, it's a number, but it's a citation. It says, we're not lying. No break for those who save their hard-earned money. Now, some of you guys might be okay with, a tax deduction for gambling losses. Some people's opinion is that every tax deduction is a good deduction. But again, some people will see this and they'll be pissed. So we mailed this far and wide to inform voters on her voting record. Then we also mentioned Jonathan Lindsay, the alternative, combat veteran, true conservative, a real Republican, endorsed by President Trump. By the way, folks, that's not express advocacy. We didn't say you should vote for John Lindsay. We said Trump endorsed him. That's just a third-party statement. Maybe some people would be opposed to Jonathan Lindsay because he's endorsed by President Trump. I don't know. The point is, this is not express advocacy. This is not a campaign spend. This is First Amendment protected voter information. And you got the quote from President Trump here. Here's what Trump says. We need a warrior like Jonathan Lindsay to uphold our America First agenda. He has my complete and total endorsement. Well, Trump didn't, to my knowledge, Trump didn't spend any money in this campaign, in this race. Well, we spent some money informing voters in this race about the contrast between the incumbent and the challenger. And the results now, let me bring that screen back. Hold on, I gotta reopen it. Pieman 5000 on Rumble says, here's hoping Phil Green gets voted out. We'll look at that in a moment here. Where were we? Here we were. Let's see if there is any. I think this page is automatically refreshing. So no news. 26% in, but John Lindsay up by 20 points. Impressive. Michelle Lee says, I wasn't thrilled with Bellino or TC Clements when I was researching them. Yeah, they're both lousy. So anyway, there you go. What else do we have on our list of races to check on? Senate District 22. Lana Tice versus Mike Detmer. I have not looked, but I put my I'm not going to put on the headset, but put my Nostra D'Angeli hat back on. Detmer's going to get blown out. Let's see. Wow, it's close. Oh my gosh. Wow, good job, Mike. Well, let me explain why she's going to get blown out. And, this goes to knowing a bit about Lana Tice, knowing a bit about the district. There are politicians in Lansing who spend all of their time in Lansing and take money from lobbyists. Michelle Lee says, I like Mike Detmer. I don't dislike Mike Detmer, Michelle. The prediction was Lana would win by a lot. Not because I support Lana. I don't. I don't support Detmer either. But there are some politicians who spend all of their time in Lansing. Lana Tice is not one of those. And when you are someone that's been in Lansing for 8 years and you go out and knock on doors constantly and you talk to voters for an 8-year period, a lot of them know you very, very well. And apart from one terrible thing that she did, a terrible thing, I'm not going to diminish that, a terrible thing she did, co-signing that Ed McBroom report on the 2020 election. However, apart from that, Lana's voting record's really good in the state Senate. I mean, here we go. Look, who's above 0 in the state Senate? Runstead's got 200. Lana's got 100. Tom Barrett, who's running for Congress, has 120. That's it. She's the top 3. She's in the top 3 most conservative members in the state Senate. Now, does that absolve her of co-signing that sham of a report from Ed McBroom? No. And she should have apologized for it. But, I mean, not only does she usually vote right, she's also been the leader in the Senate on a lot of things. On fighting critical racist theory, on fighting sexual mutilation of children, things like that. I mean, she's among the most conservative in the Senate. So she's had the ability to go to her district and tell voters, I did this and this and this and this and this. And then on top of that, she also got tons and tons of money from the DeVosses, money apparently from Adam Kinzinger. Kinzinger threw into that race. So that this is even close is a testimony to how little patience voters have for Republicans that adopt the big lie about the election, that it was all on the up and up and da-da-da-da-da. And look, and we've talked about this on the show before. I am not a fan of Matt DePerno's work. He has brought in a lot of things into the election integrity issue that have been bad information, misinformation, disinformation. And some of that got sorted out in the Senate report. But calling for him to be prosecuted over that was beyond the pale. That was absolutely disgraceful, especially I mean, by itself, that's disgusting and inexcusable. But the fact that Ed McBroom had a personal conflict he didn't disclose, that Matt DePerno sued him, shameful, disgusting. So, yeah, Lana is hanging on. We'll see what happens when more results come in. It looks like she will. I mean, and for those who think, because, you know, I know you guys watch like the presidential results on TV, and you'll see a state result where there'll be this county votes this way, and so 33% in, and then there's a big switch. And of course, some of that's from absentee ballots being counted, and some of that's from geographic distant differences. But ordinarily, all else being equal, a 10-point lead's pretty big. I guess it's a 9-point lead. So we'll see. That may or may not hold. It probably will hold. I will say this to Mike Detmer. I never thought you were going to win, but I salute you for having given Lana Theis a real run for her money. And not just her money. The DeVos's money, Adam Kinzinger's money. I mean, generally speaking, I don't like it when we primary politicians who are not awful, but pretty good, because there's worse targets out there. You know, people like Roger Victory, who's a total rhino in a completely conservative district, who votes wrong every time, whose score on our webpage is probably like minus 400. But Mike Detmer drew a lot of money out of rhino sources that they couldn't therefore spend on their other rhinos. And he also caused excruciating pain to Lana Theis over that Ed McBroom report, which was a huge mistake. So, Mike Detmer, sorry you did not win. I'm sorry you are not the nominee, but cheers to you, buddy. All right. What else we got? Oh, speaking of Roger Victory, let's look at that one. Brian Van Dusen versus Roger Victory. We did not get involved in this. I think it's going to be a clobbering. The fundraising numbers looked extremely bleak. We didn't know about this. But when Van Dusen's numbers came in, yeah, he couldn't raise money. That was a problem. If you're going to primary an incumbent, it typically takes a lot of money. Van Dusen didn't have it, so this doesn't surprise me. But there you go. So that's where that is. I don't see. Oh, it's 50% in. So yeah, it's a done deal. Victory gets to serve another term as a rhino in the state Senate. Bummer, but not surprising. What else do we got here? Oh, 35. Let's check this out. Woo! Annette Glenn, congratulations. Now, this is an interesting race. This is an interesting race, folks. We did not participate in this one. And I'll tell you why. So here's what's going on here. This race, wow, this 2% in. Okay, this race is not over. This race is not over. So don't take these results as a win yet. We've got probably one or two precincts in. So let's come back to this one. So Annette Glenn, some of you may know, is the wife of Gary Glenn, whom I worked for in Lansing. Conservative voting record is far from perfect. Ooh, Amber's joining us. Amber, give me the thumbs up sign when you're ready to come on. This is a race that Adam Kinzinger got involved in, spending his Democrat money to tell Democrats to vote in this primary. Christian Velasquez, I believe, is a retired Dow Corning executive and almost certainly a total rhino. Martin Blank's a nobody. Tim Kelly is a former state rep who was chair of the Education Committee and actually, although he covers it up now, was the sponsor of legislation to bring Common Core to Michigan. So I'm gonna bring Amber on. Amber's here. Amber, how you doing? You're muted. You're muted.
Exhausted. Sorry, I'm late. Got
No,
caught.
you're fine. Yeah, I know. I don't blame you. We all are exhausted.
Yeah, I know, right?
We all are exhausted. We'll do a recap after we get through the last few of these Senate races. We looked at the governor race, of course, the results we called it on Sunday. Congress we went over already. Nothing particularly interesting or exciting about the Congress races, except for Gibbs beating Meyer.
Right? I
Which is
saw
the
that.
one-
That was amazing.
Which is the one that we got involved in. But anyway, I was just talking about this 35th state Senate race. Annette Glenn is a state rep running for state Senate. And Adam Kinzinger is a Trump impeaching January 6th committee lying sack of trash rhino who has spent $250,000 in, among other races, this one, telling Democrats to get involved in that primary. We don't have enough yet to call it because there's only 2% in, but Annette appears way ahead of Tim Kelly, who backed Common Core, brought that to Michigan, and Christian Velasquez, a former Dow Corning executive. So we'll see. We'll hope her lead holds, and we will go from there. The next Senate race I want to check out, only out of morbid curiosity, is whoa. Okay, oh, no, never mind, 0% in. John DeMoose versus Tristan Cole. For those who don't know about that, we're now in an up north district. We're talking like the it's not Petoskey. It wasn't that. I want to say, shoot, I used to know Mansalona. I think it's Tristan Cole's hometown. So yeah, up north is where the district is. Just mildly curious. John DeMoose is a first-term state rep. He was, I think, opposed. Daniel Lawless says, Governor race called for Tudor. I know, I called it 55 minutes ago. Tristan Cole was a former House floor leader. Mostly Rhino, kind of moderately conservative. But there was a big, nasty fight going on there. John DeMoose, I remember, was... Do you remember, Amber? Did he vote right on that marijuana cartel thing at the end? I think he did.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember. That feels like a billion years ago.
I think he did. Stephen Goldstein says, yeah, we called it on Sunday.
That's why we're not upset right now.
Yeah. DeMoose, I think he voted no on the cannabis cartel bill, but only because he hates marijuana, period. Not because he cared about freedom or anything. But Cole coming in, well, again, right. Look, this is way too close to call, but if it holds, we'll see. But Cole, it's funny because he used to be the House floor leader. I mean, that's leadership, that's money, that's influence. But man, that disappears fast because he was only out of office for 2 years. So there was that one. Oh, look, Randy Bishop didn't. Of course, you guys know trucker Randy Bishop. Not the most liberal Democrat, but he did not win the Democrat primary. But what he did do, folks, is he kept the Democrats voting in their own primary.
And he ran. Yeah, exactly. He ran.
Which is what we encouraged folks to do because we saw exactly what the Democrats, and as it turns out, Adam Kinzinger also were plotting all along. And finally, again, no surprise here, we did not get involved in this race. McBroom routed the other two. Again, this comes, and of course, Ed McBroom worse than Lana. He authored that report on the election committee. But again, knowing people who are from the UP and knowing people in Lansing, right. We knew McBroom is very, very well liked in his district. They don't know what's going on. If you guys don't know, the UP is dying off. They don't have the internet much there, so they don't hear about a lot of things that are going on.
They're special.
Yeah, McBroom is a total fraud, but he's in his district thought of as like extremely neutral, judicious type of person. That's why he was recruited to be the chair of the committee to impeach Todd Corser and Cindy Gamrat. And his opponents couldn't raise any money, so not at all surprised by that.
Are we on YouTube right now?
We are on YouTube.
YouTube comes through the thing too, as Facebook chats. That's kind of cool. Hey, Darcy, how's Pontiac?
Yeah, I don't think we plan to talk too much about the 2020 election. So we'll see. Who knows? We might get a channel strike on YouTube again. We'll have to appeal it again. But we thought, hey, why not? We'll get some people watching on YouTube. So here we are. But yeah, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to hit that subscribe button, that's all well and good. But we often are not on YouTube because YouTube are censoring pieces of trash. So you should subscribe to us on Rumble or follow us, like us on Facebook, get on our email list because we always do stream on Facebook and almost always on Rumble, rarely on YouTube. So Nathan Mahan says this video is better looking when Amber joins. I agree. All right, so we've looked at the Senate races that we were following. Let's take a look at some House seats. Let's see. It is 10 o'clock, folks. So it's now 2 hours since the polls closed. Hopefully some things start coming in. Let's see. I'm going numerically. Mildly curious about Karen Whitsett. If you guys don't know about that, it's a Democrat primary. They're all Democrats. Nobody cares. But the one thing about Karen Whitsett, if you don't know about this, she got COVID and took hydroxychloroquine and got better and spoke out about how it actually does work. And she was grateful about that. And so the Democrats really went after her, tried to knock her out in 2020. They failed. Just mildly curious to see if they take her out this time, which they probably won't, but just wanted to see. What else do we got here? District 5 primary. I think this is a safe Democrat seat, but Paul Teros is a friend of Rescue Michigan. I think he's a donor, friend of the show, so he is winning his primary. Good job, Paul. I hope you give the Democrat the run for the money that they deserve. And what else do we have here? Some of these races. Okay, I think a lot of these early low numbers are like Detroit area seats, so there's a lot of Democrat seats, and there's also not a lot of results. So in fact, there's hardly any.
Oh, yeah, that's all. Wait.
David Stout and Daniel Lawless. Whoa,
Wait,
that is close.
Go up.
Close.
Go up.
So 35% in. Daniel Lawless and David Stout have both been commenters on the show. We've seen them in the chats, and Daniel, I think, was a guest of ours a few months ago.
Yeah.
So we will have to keep an eye on that one. That is a very close race. Only Lawless up by just over 100 points and just over 2%, but 35% in. So that could go any which way. We will definitely keep an eye
Go up.
on that one.
Go up. This is actually important to me. Okay.
Just something else?
No, we go down. Albert Mansour. Okay, so that's a good one too, because that's the West Bloomfield area, like the West Bloomfield-ish area. So the Albert Mansour, Diana Mohi. That's kind of cool.
That's a close one too. I have no opinion about either of these people. Maybe I should have. Let me hold on. Let me just see.
No, I could say words, but I won't because I can't. Go down.
Is it a Democrat seat?
It would have been a winnable seat with a good candidate. Let's just say that. That's as much as I'm going to say to that race. Go down.
Oh, well, I think you guys got to do something for this Mansour fella then, or at least do the best you can.
He needs to do more for himself before I'd ever help that guy out. Again, that's all I'm going to say about that seat.
Someone's going to take him to a place where they can give him a come to Jesus moment. Both of them filled out our survey 100%. So I guess it's good that we stayed neutral in that. It looks like it's a close race, and I have nothing to go on to say that we should have gotten involved. So there we go. Tim Kuntz has a real sweet acceptance speech.
She's a very sweet lady. That's why she's going to lose against Whitmer. Go down.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think she could have been braggadocious. She could have. I mean, you have to win with grace. And if she did that well, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Anyway, all right, we're gonna keep going. The next race I was gonna look at.
Whitmer?
Huh?
Do you think she's gonna beat Whitmer?
I think she can. It depends what her campaign chooses to do. We talked about that earlier. Actually, you missed it.
I missed it. My phone was dead, and I was stranded.
Oh my gosh, what happened? You were stranded?
I was stranded for a little while. Phone died. I wasn't near my car. Big to do. But now I'm here.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Me too. Where else would I be right now?
Tim Kuntz says lots of grace.
Would have been all this, all flamed out.
Yeah. Tim says lots of grace. She needs coaching. She needs the right kind of coaching. She's getting the worst kind of coaching right now, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right, District 28. Interesting race. Jamie Thompson has been in our chat before, friend of the show, but no results at all yet. So we'll move on. The next one on my list was 31. This is actually my district. And it's super close too, with 21% in. Holly Valeda and Dale Binicki, they both filled out our survey 100%. My inclination was to support Holly on the grounds that she has been standing up and fighting for our rights at the school boards, whereas Dale Binicki is an unknown, other than getting a lot of junk mail from the House Republican Campaign Committee, which put their thumb on the scale in this race. It's actually a winnable Republican seat. I'd rather see someone that's passionate about parental rights and conservative values. Dale Benicki, I think one of his daughters worked for Dale Zorn, so that's not a good thing. But 21% in, we don't know yet, so that's a nail biter. We'll see. Hopefully more results come in for that one soon. Mildly interested in the Fink versus Meckley race. Fink is the incumbent. This is in Hillsdale County. Fink is
Look at that.
well, yeah, a very small amount, and it's like a tie in one precinct, so we got no information on that yet. That's one to watch. Fink is above average for the incumbents. He's actually, I think, in the let's pull our this is not the right page. Hold on, let me go to the other one. Hold on one sec. That's the incumbent. That's the survey. Let's go to the incumbent report card page. And let's just see here. Fink 30. His score is 30, which is not the highest score, but higher than most of them. Higher than most of them. And Fink reportedly is a potential candidate for House Speaker, which you certainly could do much worse. Matt Hall's score, who's the reported frontrunner, is minus 360. So we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. What else do we got here? I think next on my list is Steve Carra versus, you got a bunch of primary challengers. It looks like he's comfortably ahead. 66% in, and Carra has a comfortable lead. Good for him. He's one of the most conservative Republicans in the state house, and we are happy to see that he fended off all of his primary challengers with no difficulty.
He headlined our fundraiser back in the day.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, friend of Rescue Michigan, Steve Carr.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was any threat. If he'd approached me and said, "Hey, man, I got a serious problem," we might have done something to inform voters about what a champion he has been for everything that we fight for. But we didn't need to, so good.
Thank you, Kara. I think you're fantastic too. You're fantastic. I'm not fantastic. You are.
All right. So what else do we have here? 43. We didn't pay any attention to this race. But Adam Kinzinger apparently did. So I guess Kinzinger really wants to stop Rachel Smith.
And she's so great.
No, wait. Or no, maybe I'm wrong. I might have this backwards. No, I heard Kronemeyer's the rhino.
Yeah.
Check my notes here. Philip Joseph is the good guy. And I don't know anything about Rachel Smith. I don't know. Am I wrong, Amber? Do you know more about
She's amazing. So she was a Trump endorsed candidate. She's amazing. I love her. She's really
Rachel
great.
Smith is?
Yeah.
Great. Good. Okay. That's all I know. So there you go. 24% in. Smith appears to be far ahead. And Adam Kinzinger's candidate is 19 points behind. So what else we got? Next up, I think, is 54. This race we did not get involved in only because, wow, maybe we should have.
No, we shouldn't have. Let that just go, and we will not talk about this at all.
I'm surprised Sandy Kiesel did so well. For those who don't know, so Donnie Steele's a total rhino in Lake Orion. Amber, feel free to not say anything about this on account of, you gotta be neutral. I'll say it. Donnie Steele's a total rhino. Sandy Kiesel is a election integrity activist. She got into the race very late, like I think the filing deadline. Raised and spent almost no money.
She didn't even put disclaimers on her signs. That's kind of the person she was. Sorry, my kids were like crying. But yeah, she didn't even put disclaimers on her signs. Sandy Kiesel was just a bad candidate to run against her.
And yet she got 42%.
Yep, I know.
So yeah, we didn't get involved in that one. I thought it was going to be a more of a blowout for Donnie Steele, honestly. Not that I didn't support, not that I didn't prefer Sandy. But nonetheless, yeah, it didn't. The numbers didn't look favorable. And 15 points isn't all that close, but still a lot more impressive than I would have thought. So I think the average voters are more informed than they ordinarily are, because usually when there's that much of an imbalance, then usually the results reflect that. But wow, no, for someone that raised and spent, I think 10, 20 times more for being outspent. Let's take a look at the numbers here. I'm actually curious. I'm going to pull this up.
Thanks. Yeah, but that's the problem with that seat. So you can call Rhino all day long, but if you can't raise money against a flippable seat that could go Dem, and the person that can't raise money wins the seat, then it's going to go Dem. And we have to constantly think about that. And that's what that seat was.
That's your problem. That's not my problem.
That's my problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, Donnie Steele raised $69,000. And Sandy Kiesel raised $9,000. So she was outspent 7-1 and got 42% of the vote.
Yeah, that's bad shit. But
Karen McAllister says Cindy Kiesel, a great candidate, and knocked for her. She worked her butt off. She did. Unfortunately, she should have started earlier. And
she knocked really well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there needs to be some sort of money. You cannot run. Okay, and I can get angry at you for this. And this is the problem we have at the grassroots.
You getting angry at me or someone else? Someone in the chat.
Everybody. But the same thing you said, this is my problem. You cannot run a bad candidate who cannot raise money, who doesn't have money themselves in a district that could go Democrat. You guys in the GOP got to find some good candidates and support them, like the DeVosses. Right, grassroots DeVos style. Let's form, and absolutely, you're right. But that's why we
don't get our values by supporting rhinos, and Donnie Steele is and will be. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe she won't be.
I think you're wrong. I really do think
maybe she'll change. We'll see.
I think you will.
Anyway, all right. Let's move on. The next one I've got on the list, 58. Let's see. No results yet for Michelle Smith versus.
Tim, congratulations to your brother, Tom. I'm glad that.
Fox News says Gibbs 50, Meyer 49. Let's go back and check that out. We're seeing, Gibbs way up in Ottawa County, but Kent County, Meyer way up. Not good. Not good. Maybe Adam Kinzinger's play was going to work there. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure the MI Senate 3 had signatures issues or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, pretty much. Yep, Mark, pretty much. Next time you want to throw your hat in, come to the office and let me know. Or know somebody that will.
Yeah, the USA Today is now at 51 for Gibbs, 49 for Meyer. Glad that we got involved in that one. Then we'll see how close it's going to be. It looks like it might be a nail biter. Anyway, where was I? We were in
recap.
Huh?
I looked at John Lindsay. I saw John Lindsay really fast.
Last time we looked, he was way up. He was way ahead. We can go back and look again.
He was 61%.
2-point lead. You love to see it. All right. Where were we? Was there anything before the 66th? Oh yeah, the 63rd. Jackie Eubanks versus. Wait, yeah, Jack. Okay, no results yet for that one. We'll see.
That one's gonna be the death of me. Honestly, I do not want to see what happens with there.
That was another one that Adam Kinzinger tampered in. 59, just out of curiosity. I'll bet there's no results yet. I'm gonna bet Wozniak will beat McCoskey, but we'll see. The 66th, Josh Shriver is well ahead of Jacob Newby with 41% reporting. Speaking of people that don't put their mandatory disclaimers on their yard signs, Jacob Newby never did. But that was the least of his problems, apparently. I guess now that's pretty much over, folks. I'll just tell you the backstory about this. John Riley talked to and knows Josh and Jacob both very well. We don't know who these others are, but we did not know whether Macomb or anywhere else would be drawn into the district. But just trying our best to figure out who would be replacing John in the legislature. We wanted to have some say in that and have it be someone who's a real patriot and not a rhino. And Josh and Jacob both fit that bill. So we met with them both. And we said, you know, the one thing we don't want to have happen is to have two good conservatives running against each other and splitting the vote and letting a rhino get in to the first place position by having the conservatives split their votes between two different people. So over a year ago, we wanted to sort out that situation and stop it from happening. So at that meeting, Jacob Newby said, Josh, you got this. I'll bow out. I won't run. You run, and all will be well. And then literally like the day before the candidate filing deadline, Jacob Newby broke his word to us and filed and screwed everything up. So I am glad to see Josh Shriver has beaten him, because I take people's word to me very seriously. And when you break your word to me, there will be a price to pay. We did not spend our donors' money on this, but I did help Josh out in every way I could, advising his campaign. And I'm glad to see that he is in first place. I hope he holds his lead. Don't know. Maybe there's some kind of thing going on between counties, but most likely there is not. No, Macomb has not come in yet, so maybe that'll change.
I like Newby, number one. But two, so did we talk about the absentee vote and how
I liked Newby. No,
I know you did. But did we talk about the absentee vote? Like, how is that getting counted? How is that happening? Like, what is going on with that? Did you discuss that, touch on that?
No, those will get broken out later. You'll see them in the final reports because they'll have the absentee voting versus in person.
I really feel like this is an X factor here. I really feel like there's a huge absentee ballot push that's not being. I went to several different polls today. I was at a lot of polls and it was all dead. We're talking dead, like really dead. Every poll I went to.
My polling place I worked at today was quite busy.
None of them.
Bizarre.
And I was at like 15 different locations today. So I don't know what's going on. So there's this weird X factor we have going on with absentee ballots that I think is going to really surprise everybody. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but
we'll keep an eye out. But to that point, you know, what would constitute a variation between in-person versus absentee would be some kind of timing issue. Like, for example, Trump endorsing a candidate 2 days before the election. You might see that in the governor race. Exactly. I don't see how that's going to emerge in any state house race. So there you go.
Yeah, see, that's crazy, Greg. See, Greg says, I was voter number 24 for my precinct in Rochester Hills, and I voted at lunchtime at 11:15. Oakland County was weird today.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It was bizarre.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, only 3% in. This is only one precinct, but Phil Green way up in District 67. We actually did play in that race a bit. We did a text blast for Chad Moore, who I expected to do better, and maybe he will. There's only one precinct in yet, so we'll come back and look at that again once there is more in there. Phil Green's record's atrocious. But then again, there's also this weird dynamic of there being 5 other opponents. So that might have been an issue at play. When I looked at it, Chad Moore was way ahead in fundraising than anybody else. Maybe not losing, though. I don't know. There might have been something going on there. So we'll see. Again, only one precinct in. So we'll see where that goes when we get more data. What else we got? I skipped another important one. Beeler versus Eisen. Oh, there's nothing in yet. That's why. We got involved in this one. We did an attack on Gary Eisen in this race. Reason being, and this was one I didn't see coming, but there's a couple reasons why we wanted to play in this one. First off, because Gary Eisen sponsored that disgusting traffic camera legislation to introduce automated ticketing cameras all over the state, which I might have let go, but then when I noticed that he and Andrew Beeler were competing, they're both incumbents. And then I noticed this. Beeler got a plus 50 score on our report card. He's one of the good guys, or relatively speaking, good guys. whereas Gary Eisen got a minus 150. So like, okay. There's a real contrast between two incumbents here, and they're competing with each other. Eisen sponsored a bill that was an assault on our liberty, and we'll see what the outcome is. But yeah, we dropped some mail on this one. Actually, no, we didn't drop mail. We did digital stuff on this in this race. We'll see how that turns out. But you know, and by the way, folks, if you've noticed, we've done like a mix of different things. We've done incumbent races, open races, primary challengers. We've done Congress. We've done some state Senate races. We did some House seats. We did some issue based. We did some personality based. We did some, just races where we were helping people that have supported us. We are doing this for a couple of things. There's a reason why there's that mix. We're looking for races where we can have the most impact. We're looking to send a message to the legislature that we will cause pain in election season, and you won't know where it's going to come from. So in this case, Gary Eisen threw in a bill to attack your constitutional rights to trial, to privacy, putting traffic cameras everywhere. And Andrew Beeler did not. He voted better on a lot of issues. So, if we make any difference in that race, we'll be happy for it. So we'll see how that one turns out. Mark Kerniel says, what is going on for Stephen Elliott for Congress MI12? I don't know. I'm not sure who that is. This page just refreshed. I guess we can go back and take a look. And folks in chat, feel free. By the way, I need to be better about watching Rumble chat too. Unfortunately, folks, Rumble does not integrate with StreamYard at all. And Rumble has all kinds of things that are not pleasant to deal with. I hope they work that out one of these days. Anyway, hold on. I gotta keep scrolling up. District 12, Congressional District 12. Who would you say, Kerniel? Oh no, I'm sorry. Mark Kerniel says it was going to Stephen Elliott. Stephen Elliott. He's winning. He's winning the primary. It's a hopelessly Democrat seat, unfortunately, but if you were rooting for Stephen Elliott, you will rejoice because, 3% in, so it's not a done deal yet, but Steve Elliott is way up with 3% in. So there you go. Stephen Ghostley says, Garrett Sedano conceded and urged supporters to unite and retire Whitmer and that he will be voting for Tudor Dixon in November. Good for him. You win with dignity, you lose with dignity. That's the way it goes. Let me catch up on some Rumble chats here. Shina Bab says, I voted 2:30 at Victorian Library. I was the only one in there. There was no line. I also felt something weird, rather empty.
It was dead. The absentee vote's going to be really interesting. But I do have to get to bed. My kids are freaking out. So, long day to polls, the boys.
Is there anything you want to talk about before we go? Because I'm going to just keep going through these. But thank you for joining us.
You know what? There's no surprises. Nothing surprised me. They're all great candidates. Honestly, I just got to get to work now, and I'm so glad to have candidates to get to work for, so I don't have to be behind the scenes being like, this one's great, but this one's. I'm so excited to have solid candidates. So we're good. We're ready to go.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Amber.
I can be ready to go and be happy, and you're going to bring the pain and the less pain, but I'm like all sunshines and rainbows.
All right. Thank you, Amber. It's good. It's great to see you, and hopefully you can join us again on Sunday when we'll be able to do a recap after things are more official.
I am so excited for Sunday. Yes, I'm going to get sleep.
Cheers.
You guys have a good night. Cheers. Bye.
All right. Good night. People are saying Tice Detmer. Tim Kuhn says Tice by Sam. We looked at that a little while ago. I guess things haven't changed. This is what I'm drinking tonight. Glenlivet 12. Not that impressive, to be honest. But to all the winners, congratulations. Let's Greg Taylor says, where can we see the results that you're scrolling through? There's the address at the top of the screen here. I'm looking at USA Today's website. We may at some point try looking at other websites to see. I've got like a bunch of county clerks websites pulled up yet, but They're not helpful. And this is the Wayne County Clerk's website. They're still showing nada. Let me try reloading the page. Results last updated August 1st, 6 o'clock p.m. I mean, typical Wayne County for you there. So I'm going by the USA Today. I've got these other ones. I've got the Oakland counties. I've got the Macomb counties. I've got the Kent counties. I've got the Washtenaw counties. I've got the this is the Livingston counties. So we can go through these if we need to, in case we can find some others that are. Oh, Greg says it's still puning on a cell phone that it's unreadable. Okay, well, it's USA Today. I would just look up Michigan election results, and it'll be one of the results. I'm sure the USA Today's election results coverage, where they do have the state race, which most of these other places don't. So, all right. Anyway, where were we? No, we talked about Josh Shriver, Phil Green. Sad to see. I was expecting more of chat. Okay, well, we're right. We looked at that, and there's only one Precincton, so that could be any reason why that's going that way. Mark Kernel says, you need to keep this up, Adam. You will be the next Nick Rekieta. I wish, dude. I don't have a fraction of the talent Nick Rekieta does. And also, you know, we have a few institutional problems with our stream that Nick Rekieta will not have. One is talking about elections constantly gets you kicked off of YouTube even more frequently than Nick does. And plus, we're Michigan. You know, we're geographically limited. You know, Nick's got fans all over the world. We are 3% of the United States. Another problem that I have that Nick doesn't have is I'm constantly telling my audience about how wrong they are. And they don't like to hear that. And then they leave. And then they attack me and they call me a rhino. So it doesn't work the same for me as it does for Nick. But thank you for the kind words, Mark. I really do appreciate that. Heather Sue says, where can we follow precinct delegate races? The only places you can find those are going to be your city or township clerk's website and your county clerk's website. And there's no guarantees on either of those. But you'll find those out soon enough. And honestly, if you did anything to run for precinct delegate, even in a contested seat, chances are you probably won. But yeah, we can't go for precinct delegates. There's thousands of them. So, and I don't know who all these people are. So anyway, what else do we got here? What else did I have on my list of things to cover? Highman says, overall, Adam, how's the night turned out? Good, bad? So far, neutral. The big news that we're still waiting to see is how John Gibbs does against Peter Meyer. The Tudor Dixon win was expected. And for most of the races that we're watching that we were involved in, we've seen no results yet. So far, nothing particularly interesting. Detmer giving Lana Tice a run for her money was encouraging. I thought it was going to be a blowout. I was wrong on that. It's actually fairly close. It's like 11 points he was within. So we'll see. Anyway, where's my list of other races I was checking on? What were we at? Oh, Dylan Pescarolo versus Mike Mueller. I expect Mueller will win this one. Even though he's a rhino, Dylan, I think, just wasn't able to raise much money. We did not get involved in this one. I wanted to, but yeah, it's a 42%. Yeah, it's a blowout for Mike Mueller. You know, Mike Mueller's terrible, but I remember when I worked in the House, we had to knock on doors for him, and he had what was hands down the best campaign piece. It was like checking off all the boxes. I'm a farmer. I'm a cop. I'm a veteran. I'm a business owner. I'm a da-da-da-da-da. And Dylan Pescarolo, I mean, he's a young guy. He was actually an intern in John Riley's office, but he came across as like a whippersnapper. He didn't have charisma, didn't raise money. So I would have loved to see Mike Mueller called out for all of his bad votes, including atrocious, disgraceful things he did when COVID hit. But you can't beat something with nothing. And unfortunately, Dylan just didn't quite have it there. So too bad about that, but not unexpected. So moving on to the next one. 78. Let's see how Gina Johnson might be doing. Well ahead of Christine Barnes. Yes! 30% in, and that's a big lead. That's encouraging. That's encouraging. That's a good one for tonight, folks. We did get involved in this race. We actually spent a good chunk of change informing voters about Gina Johnson and Christine Barnes, a crypto liberal fraud. This is here. I'll show you our website. I'll show you what we did for her. I'll have to find the text blast, but we did a text blast to the entire district and told people about how Christine Barnes was well, let me find the text. Hold on. Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'll show you the landing page first. What do you guys think about this? Christine Barnes. A likely story. Christine Barnes says her Grand Ledge community is full of virulent racists. And here's this, here's the proof. Here's this Facebook post from June 4th, 2020. According to Christine Barnes, in 2001, the first night I brought my now husband, Tim Barnes, home for the holidays. While entering an establishment, I was told by other attendees to get that horrible, this is what she wrote, horrible epitaph out of here. I think she meant horrible epithet. And I'm pretty sure she meant N-word. Get that N-word out of here. Folks, have you been to, you ever been to Grand Ledge? Been to Grand Ledge. It's a small town near Lansing. It's not a hick town. It's a suburban city town. She wants you to believe, I mean, we list that right here. Do you, as a community resident, believe Christine Barnes' story? And here's the context of where she told this story. The superintendent's crime, saying of George, so there's this guy, Brian Metcalf, who's a superintendent in Lansing schools. So he had the audacity to post on, it looks like Twitter or Signal or something. It all starts with being a law-abiding. You're talking about George Floyd, you know, the guy who was the drug addict who was involved in, he was killed by a police officer. I forget the police officer's name. You know, the knee on the neck. Might have been excessive force, but Mark, he was convicted of murder, the police officer was. Nevertheless, people have questions about that. The medical examiner said he died of a drug overdose. But nevertheless, the Minneapolis jury convicted the police officer, sentenced him to prison. So Brian Metcalf, the superintendent, had the audacity to say, it all starts with being a law-abiding citizen. Had he not paid with counterfeit money, had he not resisted, had he not been under the influence, then there would have been no contact with officers. That does not excuse the officer. It just eliminates the conflict to begin with. It starts with being a good citizen. So Christine Barnes joined into the job lynch mob to have the guy fired, which he was. And so that was where she says, dear, I think it's Grand Ledge Public Schools family and Eaton County residents. This past weekend, most of you know that Superintendent Brian Metcalf made some controversial statements, truthful, accurate statements regarding the George Floyd murder, or perhaps manslaughter, or perhaps even justifiable use of force by police. But the jury said murder now, so that's okay. But I think that conviction was much after June 4th. So maybe this was a rush to judgment, murdered George Floyd. Anyway, as a GLPS alumni and matriarch of a biracial family, I cannot ignore that Mr. Metcalf's words are incredibly stupid and needlessly divisive. Although I personally tend to extend grace to those who do not seem to know any better. Bullshit! Mr. Metcalf has a history of controversial statements. I do not see a way forward for Mr. Metcalf to be an effective leader in our school's administration. And then she told the N-word story. Do you believe this ever actually happened? Or is Christine Barnes posing as a victim? Here's a comment she made in some candidate survey. Is racism a threat to domestic security in the United States? Yes, it is a domestic security threat. You're a terrorist. You're a terrorist if you're a racist. And if we say you are, you're a racist. Hate has always been a threat to domestic security. My husband and I are interracial couple. I had firsthand experience of racism towards myself and my family. And there's some other stuff here too. So anyway, we sent out a blast to that whole district everywhere. And let me see if I can find what I wrote so you guys can see. Sorry, guys, I gotta look up my messages here. And I've gotten a lot of texts in these last couple of days. You guys have probably had the same experience. Tudor Dixon. Oh, now I've gone way too far in the past. All right. I'm sorry, folks. I will look it up. It's a lot of dead air, but we I'm trying to remember if we mentioned Gina Johnson in our text. I think we lit up Christine Barnes. We used a nasty picture of Christine Barnes and said she thinks that her community is a bunch of racists, and here's the proof of it. Check this out. She claims I'll have to go back and look. But we lit up Christine Barnes. We linked to a landing page so people can see this stuff. So we're promoting our website. We're also attacking Christine Barnes. And this went out to, I think, every voter with a cell phone who hadn't already voted in the Republican primary in that district. So 30% in Gina Johnson, well ahead of Christine Barnes. And looks like she's on the path. I'm gonna send her an invite to see. I mean, she's probably going to be at a victory celebration or something, but I will just real quick send Gina Johnson an invite to come on our show if she wins. All right, send her the link. She probably won't even see it, but I sent it to her. Mark Kerniel says, "How is Angela Regas for State House?" And my thoughts. Let's find out. That was the next one on our list, I believe. And yes, it was the 79th. We also were involved in that one. Let's see, where is it? Oh, nothing in yet. Sorry, we have no results. We informed voters about Angela Regas in that seat. So, not that we're the only ones who did. So, if she wins, it's not just entirely because of us, but yes, we did inform voters in a favorable manner about Angela Regas. So let's look forward to that. 84th seat, RJ Regan. That guy. Yeah, getting clobbered. That's fine. Just wondering. You guys, if you're not familiar with the story about not Brian Regan, Robert Regan. He came on our show, said something by accident that he didn't mean to say. Media lied about it. He got clobbered in a special election race, just got wiped out in the general primary for that seat. So no surprise there, but just wondering. 88th district, Mick Bricker is primarying Greg Van Workum. I would have to assume Van Workum will have a blowout win only because he had 10,000 times as much money as Mick did. 20 points, fairly close for a primary challenger without the money. So there you go. I mean, an impressive performance from Mick. He did have the Trump endorsement, I believe. Adam Kinzinger told Democrats to vote against him in the primary, assuming that the Democrats could figure out who he was talking about. But even without that, Greg Van Workum had a huge incumbency advantage, a huge financial advantage. So not surprising that with 69% of the results in, Van Workum is well ahead. Sorry to see it. I'd love to see the guy knocked out. We didn't get involved in that one. We didn't think there was any real chance that Bricker was going to win that seat. So, kind of same story in the 93rd. Alan Hoover primarying Graham Filler. And again, same result there too. 40% almost for Alan Hoover, 61% of Graham Filler. Graham Filler is a total rhino. He's the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. He cares nothing about civil liberties or the Constitution, does everything the courts and the lawyers want him to do. Awful state rep. And of course, lines his pockets with all of that attorney legal system cash. Al Hoover, Marine Corps, Patriot, up and comer, but just couldn't compete financially with that. We didn't get involved in that race. Didn't expect any other outcome. Happy to see that as many people are voting against the incumbents as they were. I mean, 40%. You're not that far from 50%, maybe with enough precinct leadership and organization. Things can be even better in 2 years. Next up. Oh, this will be interesting. The 95th. Ann Maneri getting crushed. We did an email blast on this, but we didn't put any money into voter education in this district. Bill Schuette is the son of Attorney General Bill Schuette, Bill G. Schuette. Ann Maneri, if you see our email blast, she has been a Democrat her whole life, ran as a Republican to save her pension, as she put it, when she ran for re-election as county clerk. She had been a Democrat county clerk the entire time. She made up this bullshit story that she was a Republican, and then she ran as a Democrat to become the Midland County clerk, which makes zero sense at all, because she claimed at the time the the Midland machine didn't like her or something or other. Didn't make any sense. But anyway, Ann Maneri was very actively promoted all across Midland by Democrats saying we want to vote in our primary. Ann Maneri is anti-gun, anti-life, pro-abortion, pro-LGBTQ, API, whatever. They were very, very actively campaigning to get Democrats to vote for Ann Maneri in the Republican primary because it's a conservative seat, conservative district. And they thought if enough Democrats voted for Ann Maneri, who is not a Republican in the Republican primary, they would be able to knock out the Bill Schuette political dynasty. And it looks like that has failed completely. So another good outcome. Another good outcome in that seat. Mildly curious in the 97th. This is interesting. Matthew Bierlein beating Rodney Wakeman. We didn't get involved in this one. It wasn't interesting or important enough to be involved in. But Matt Bierlein, I forget why I knew him. I knew him through Gary Glenn. He's well known for some reason in that area. And I think he was the Gary Glenn supporter. Rodney Wakeman is a guy from Saginaw, who I think was director of the Michigan Funeral Directors Associations. And when he got to Lansing a few years ago, it was fairly obvious from the get-go he was just a dunce. I mean, just barely could tie his shoes. And he's getting beat by an up-and-comer. So another incumbent getting knocked out. Can't make any promises about Bierlein. Did he return our survey? Let's check on that. Did he return our survey? He did not. He did not return our survey, so I guess I'm not really rooting for him. But anytime incumbents get defeated, it's always a nice thing to see. So there we go. Allegan News says, I got multiple text messages telling me to vote in Republican primary against Mega. I guess you mean MAGA. Somehow I got on Democrats' list. Allegan News, we have seen mailings going out to Republican households too from these people. So they might be just hitting everybody. And it may have had an opposite effect for some Republicans too. In fact, I'll bet it did. Emma Birch says, how about Amber's favorite Jackie Eubanks House race one? We'll look back at that in a second. We're almost through all the House seats, and then we'll go back now that some more results have come in. Over on Rumble, BamFan1442 says, what about absentee ballots? Have they been counted yet? And what is the current percentage of precincts reporting now? It's different for every district. It's different for every district. Some of them absentee ballots can be counted and done by, typically absentee ballots are like the first to come in because, you start at 7 a.m. on election day, you might be done by 2 p.m., whereas the election has to go till 8. But in Detroit, for some strange reason, it takes days and days and days. So it varies by municipality, varies by district, and therefore it varies by every race that we're looking at. So it's hard to say. And these, of course, are not broken out separately between absentee and in-person voting. So we don't know yet. We don't know yet what the results are going to be. Allegan News says, I'm sure Apple likes to autocorrect MAGA. Yeah, I'll bet they do. All right, let's look at a few more state house seats, and then we'll go back and look at some of the ones that we were really nail biting on. I'm mildly curious on the 101st, Dianne Schindelbeck losing to Kelly Smith with 15% of the vote in. I had no strong feelings about this race anyway. I don't know anything about Kelly Smith or Joseph Fox or Chad Pierce. Dianne Schindelbeck, however, is one of the leaders, or was one of the leaders of the Michigan Conservative Coalition. So, a good close friend of Michonne Maddock. I don't think she got the Trump endorsement in this race. I'm not sure. But apart from that, the only other thing I know about Dianne is that she became the administrative vice chair of the county GOP. The administrative vice chair's only job is to run the state convention. And that state convention we had was awful. The last one. It was atrocious. And, I think Shane and Amber told me, I know Shane told me to leave Dianne alone for calling out all that absolute three-ring circus that was that last state convention. That was her job. So no strong feelings about that one. And like I said, I don't know anything about Kelly Smith. I just was curious to see how Dianne Schindelbeck was doing. 15% in, so the results could change. She's only down by 150 votes. So we'll see. But right now, it doesn't look good for her. So mildly curious. 102nd, another morbid curiosity. Kurt Vanderwall is a state senator that stepped down to run back for state house because would otherwise have to run against another state senator who's a lot more well-liked than he is. Andrew Seabolt and Ryan Roberts, a.k.a. Logic, both also ran in that seat. Unfortunately, when we looked at the financial numbers, neither of them could raise any money. Well, Ryan Roberts, Logic has just been, he's off the deep end. Andrew Seabolt, I think with nothing, folks, if you're going to run a primary campaign against an incumbent, you got to be able to raise money, and you got to do it. Anybody can, if you know how and you commit to it. And a lot of people just don't want to do it. I get it. It's hard asking for money, but you have to. That's the way it goes. Heather Cerrone, 20% in, losing bad to Jack O'Malley. Sad to see, not a surprise. Again, fundraising. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You have to be able to raise money. So there you go. Ken Borton, 105th, 50% in, and he's stomping the competition. Sad to see that one. We did do a little bit in that one. Not a lot, but we did do a text blast on that. Borden's voting record is god awful. God awful. Diane Randall went to our campaign school. She had raised a decent amount of money, as did Kim Morley as well. So not sure what was going on there. But we wanted to get involved in that one just a little bit, just a little bit, because we were hearing that a lot of people didn't like Ken Borton in that seat, but the numbers are showing otherwise. We weren't sure. Curtis Michael says, what is the majority of the money spent on? I don't know, Curtis, if you're asking about how we spent our supporters' money on voter education. If you're asking about what the majority of the money spent in general is spent on, campaigns often get lobbied by their consultants to spend it on television ads and internet ads, because unbeknownst to the candidates, the consultants get a cut of the profit from that. So they're always lobbying to do TV and internet and sometimes radio. I personally am a bigger fan of direct mail. Phones and staff are the things I like to spend money on when I'm running a campaign personally. A mail piece that's well executed can be very powerful. If you put in the work. And staff can be good to have. You can have lots of volunteers, but having someone that's paid to work full time, even if they're only paid a little bit, they'll work hard for you, and they can coordinate the logistics, the grassroots. You need to have people. A campaign does take some professional staff. So my preference versus what most campaigns' preferences are very different. But campaigns typically spend most of their money on voter contact, which almost always is TV and internet these days. What we spent our money on was mail and phones, and a little bit of digital stuff too, but mostly mail and phones. All right, I need a little bit of whiskey for my throat. All right. So yeah, sad to see that, but not too surprising. Hard to say what's going on there. When you get to these higher district numbers too, you're talking about a lot more geographic area in a district. And I'll tell you, folks, it makes a big difference where in like the Metro Detroit area, your district is all within a 6x6 mile range, where up north, your district is multiple counties. It is hard to knock on doors up there. A lot harder. It's a very different environment. It's very difficult. So we'll see if there's anything else we can do to help out the people of the 105th, who unfortunately will still be suffering under a rhino bag of trash. That is Ken Borton. Allegan News says, mail ensures you show up at voters' door. TV, internet, or if not well targeted, are tossing spaghetti on the wall. Exactly right. Exactly right. Mail is you target the voters who because you have the public data, are the ones who are likely to vote and are in play. Whereas with TV and internet, and by the way, the worst way to spend money in a campaign is billboards. Because you're hitting huge numbers of people that don't live in the district, don't vote for the party, don't know, don't care, don't pay attention. And the candidates always love their billboards because they love seeing their picture on the billboard. Oh, look at me. I'm on that big billboard. People are seeing me as they go by. They don't have any space to say anything. And you're almost entirely reaching non-voters. So if you see a campaign spending money on billboards, run away from that campaign. They are burning their donors' money. And TV and internet are barely any better. And the thing about internet too, I mean, Facebook and Google will tell you we can do amazing geo-targeting and amazing personality targeting and all that stuff. But you have to remember, they're distrustworthy, unreliable partners, and they're the enemy. They lie to their clients. They lie to their content creators. They lie to their users. They lie to the government. They lie to regulators. They view themselves as above the law. You think they're not defrauding you? I don't send out campaigns I can't verify. Actually, at a campaign last night, we did a text blast in the 31st. Let's see if the 31st has come anywhere. Is there anything else I want to cover on these? I know there's no more house seats I'm interested in. So let's go back. Check on the 31st again. Anything in this one? Beniki's pulling ahead. Sad to see. We did a text blast yesterday about Beniki being bought and paid for by Lansing lobbyists, and I didn't get the live one, and so I called my data guy because I like to verify things. I'm like, hey, I didn't get the live one, and I thought maybe something fishy is going on. And then he came back and was like, no, you got scrubbed from the list because you voted absentee. Like, oh, that makes sense. Good, glad to know you were so sharp that you're actually scrubbing people that already voted absentee from your lists. I mean, he was on top of it. Our data guy's very good. So we'll see. Yeah, we looked at this race. I didn't want to spend a lot on this one, but it is actually, I live in this district, and Dale Beniki is being propped up by the Lansing people. Holly is a grassroots patriot. She was not financially competitive with him, unfortunately. And also part of that was that the establishment scum were backing Dale Beniki. So, yeah, too bad. I mean, I might have to organize for a Democrat in November on that seat. I don't want that guy representing me. I don't trust him, even though he did fill out our survey 100%. I mean, look at this guy. This is stuff that they put out about him. Here, let me put this on the full screen. Fighting to keep our community safe. Yeah, it sure looks like he is. He will never run to defund the police. What a bullshit ad this is. This is from, by the way, notice this shit here. This is their building a better economy. That's the House. That is the House leadership PAC. The HRCC is funding these primary channels. I mean, listen, he's wearing a red shirt. Never trust a man wearing a red shirt with a suit. Yeah, we'll never defund our police. Who are Republicans voting to fund the police? Bullshit ad. Look at this one. Protecting Michigan families from the Biden border crisis. This guy's never said or done or promised anything relating to immigration. It's a complete flat out lie. Flat out lie. Look at that. You can tell this comes from these fucking idiots at the HRCC too, because they say Dale Beniki's plan. His plan. You know what? Let me tell you, folks, you'll see this for anyone that wins their primary that are going to Lansing. The staff will tell everybody, never say bill, never say legislation, always plan. My plan is this, my plan is that, our plan is this, so-and-so introduced this plan, that plan, this plan, everyone's a plan. This comes from these flunkies at the HRCC. So anyway, we did a little bit to help out Holly because I wanted to. Probably not enough. The HRCC, Joe Bellino's Babe PAC spent, I think, they gave him 18 grand. They probably spent another 20 on that seat to put another rhino in. Embarrassing. I don't know. I might see if we can work with the guy. If we can, there might be a slim chance. There's a slim chance we can make him into something half decent. I doubt it. I've never seen pressure make a hero, but we'll see. But anyway, yeah, we didn't spend too much. I probably would have done more, but Holly hadn't raised very much at all, and it was a very big disappointment. She came to one of our campaign schools, and apparently didn't do the work making the phone calls, which is sad to see. Because anybody can raise tens of thousands of dollars, at least $10,000 to $20,000 if you can make phone calls. Mark Carino says, looks like Steve Carra won. It looked like that earlier. I'm glad to know it still looks like that. What other races were we checking out here? Let me delete some of these. I've got this huge list. We've gone through a bunch of these. And some of these were pretty much foregone conclusions, but there were some that, and some that were just only mildly interesting. But there were some that we were watching that did nothing had even come in yet. And there's some that were close. I think I might have forgotten to look up one more. The 104th. Just another primary challenge I was curious about. What? John Roth, incumbent. 24% in. I don't know anything about Katie Kniss. Did she fill out our survey? She did. We should have done something for her. 52% to 48 with 24% in. Wow. Okay, that's one to keep an eye on. And folks, who knows? I mean, she filled out our survey 100%. Some politicians fill out surveys dishonestly, so we shall see. But John Roth, what's his score? What's Roth at? He was a freshman, so he got to Lansing before I ever got there. I never knew anything about him. Oh, minus 350, right there with Ken Borton. Good. Let's hope the incumbent gets beat. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that one. What else we got here? Let's see. What races can we call? Can we call the Schuette race? Yeah, we can call the Bill Schuette race. Schuette has beaten folks, when we say Rhino, Republican, and name only, usually we mean people who kind of consider themselves Republicans, but they just do the wrong thing all the time because they don't have a grounding in constitutional principles. Then there's the Republican in name only who literally is a Democrat who's posing as a Republican their entire career. That's Ann Maneri for decades. So let's be happy about that one. That is maybe before deleting these, I should actually. Here's what I want to do. I want to make a list of where we won and where we lost. Curtis Michael says, Katie Kniss or Niss, I don't know how you pronounce it, is Patriot approved. Well, yep, 100% on our survey. So, and again, we don't endorse candidates because no matter what they say, they might be lying. But she filled out our survey 100%. So there we go. Yeah, spreadsheets. All right, let's see here. Now, some races I just don't particularly passionately care about, honestly. You know, I'm not gonna say Tudor Dixon being the governor nominee is a win or a loss. It's a blah. And same for some of these other ones. But let's go back to our list here. Let's see, has there been any news on Gibbs versus Meyer? That's the big one of the night. Ooh, so close. So close. Let me ask you guys, if Meyer holds on, which will clearly be because Democrats voted for him, what will you do in November? By the way, Tom Norton having no money against Rhino John Molinar. I mean, it's he's getting beat down, but still respectable showing for a primary against an incumbent. If it's Hillary Scholten versus Peter Meyer, what do you do in November? I say you vote for Hillary Scholten. Stephen Ghostley says not vote. Yeah, but voting for Hillary Scholten is like not voting times 2. Do you want to, what's worse? A Rhino or a Democrat? Because a Democrat in a swing district like this one, you might be able to beat in 2 years with a real conservative candidate. But you get Peter Meijer in there for a second term. And then he gets a third and a fourth and a fifth. You can't get him out. Once these traitors like Lindsey Graham and Peter Meijer, once they get in, they take a seat that could be occupied by a patriot. And instead they're as bad as they're almost worse than Democrats, because they give the Democrats the ability to say it was a bipartisan impeachment. 10 Republicans out of 200 voted for it. Every one of those 10 needs to be removed from Washington. But when you, a conservative, vote for someone like Peter Meijer, or worse, you tell your friends and family to vote for Peter Meijer, you see what you've become? You're no longer the grassroots telling the politicians what they must do. Now you're Peter Meijer's servant. You're the Republican Party servant telling the grassroots what they must settle for. If Peter Meijer wins, write that seat off. Don't do anything for him. Don't even vote for him. And frankly, I mean, you can't organize for the Democrat. You can't organize for Hillary Scholten, who I have no doubt is a pro-abort, anti-gun, anti-Bill of Rights, anti-Constitution, America-hating scum. Don't ever support politicians in general. Just attack them. Just oppose them. You don't have to support Hillary Scholten to attack Peter Meijer, to remind every Republican in that district what a treasonous scum he is. And you know, the Democrats managed to keep Peter Meijer as the nominee by crossover voting for him. That's the Republican Party's fault. And the Republican Party won't be held accountable until they start losing seats. And I know some of you guys are thinking, well, but what about our majority? What about the majority? It's one seat in the country. Let everybody else worry about their own districts. If Republicans lose majority by one seat, that's their damn fault. You know who else backed Peter Meijer? The National Republican Campaign Committee did. You know who else backed Peter Meijer? Americans for Prosperity did. You know who else backed Peter Meijer? The DeVos family did. Let them be represented by a Democrat. And if by one seat the Democrats have a majority, they deserve it. They deserve it. They defrauded their donors. They took donors' money. They took donors' money saying, we're going to elect Republicans. And they spent the donors' money in primary contests. Never mind that Peter Meijer already has the incumbency advantage. He already has the fundraising advantage. They spent donors' money not on letting the best man win in the primary, but protecting the incumbents. They deserve to lose. Mark Kernel, Rinky just congratulated Dixon. Good. You know what else probably happened behind the scenes, folks, with all that? You know, remember Kevin Rinky was a self-funder? He'll probably have seen the writing on the wall a few days ago and was like, yeah, I kind of want to keep my money. Alganu says, but Stabenow holds on. I would prefer Meijer and primary him next go around. No. Nope. That's a bad strategy. That's a bad strategy. Stabenow, as Allegan News calls her, holds on because we lose. We've had weak candidates. We've had weak candidates. John James was not the impressive candidate people thought he was. He had bad consultants. And he was not aggressive enough. And that's the way that goes. No, we lose until we learn. Stephen Ghosty says, what would you do in the Mueller race? That's Dylan Pescarolo getting beat by the incumbent Rhino Mike Mueller. Dude, yeah, you don't owe Mike Mueller your vote. It's actually a safe Republican seat, I think. Who cares? If it's not a safe Republican seat, that's his problem. If a Democrat comes in, you'll find someone better next time. I mean, here's the thing, folks. You have to understand this. You don't get your agenda passed by supporting people that vote against it. I mean, look at these people. Minus 350. Jack O'Malley, minus 380. Minus 340. These are average scores of the Republicans here. You know, that's why we spent our donors' money attacking all of these people. Well, not all of these people. We chose races where we thought we have some challengers that can win, where our support can make that difference. Let's see how our friend John Lindsay's doing. Was it the 17th or something? 62% in, still 20 points up. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make a spreadsheet. I will just make a list. Let's see. Gibbs versus Meyer. Don't know yet. It's very close. What else? I'll check on the 11th congressional again. I honestly don't care much about this anyway, but a lot of people were involved in that one, so just out of curiosity, just to see what the news is. Yeah, Ambrose called for Ambrose, called for Haley Stevens. People pointed that out. You know, whatever. Mildly interesting is about all I can say about that. Mildly interesting. Yishiel Kosovsky says, do you think Tudor has a shot against the killer? Yes. Gretchen Whitmer, I do. But, I mean, it comes down to a lot of factors. The biggest ones being, what kind of a campaign does she run? And unfortunately, it is not encouraging that it appears she is trying to run a safe campaign, which is a losing strategy. So this is where and we talked about this earlier in the show, my suggestion for the grassroots is help Tudor be better. Don't just trash her constantly all the time, but go to her events and be like, hey, your campaign sucks. What is wrong with your staff? Unless they wise up and be better. We'll see. But give it a week, folks. Give it a week. We'll see what her messaging settles into. Is she going to be aggressive? Is she going to go after Whitmer on the nursing home stuff, on the vote fraud stuff, or not? I mean, that'll be the challenge. Is she going to be on offense or defense? If she's on defense, she's going to lose. But if she goes on offense, and on offense in smart ways, not buffoonish ways, but like smart ways, like Whitmer destroyed our economy, destroyed our Constitution. And the other thing, we'll be talking a lot more about this in the coming days, is these ballot proposals. Your job, folks, from here out, is to get every single one of these Democrats on record on the proposals. One of which, I mean, they don't have numbers yet. Mark Kernel says, how is the DeVos going to advise her? We don't know. DeVos will advise her with money and say, here, you should listen to so-and-so. They know what they're talking about. Tim Kuhn says, Tudor will go after regrets with a pitchfork. She will drive a stake through her heart. We will see. We will see. That is not a sure thing yet. But give it a week. Give it a week. We'll see. Anyway, I was going to say, the constitutional amendments that are likely to be on the ballot, they don't have bill numbers. They don't have proposal numbers yet. They won't get that until September. I'm calling out a name for the abortion amendment because we don't have numbers yet. We can't make a flyer without a number, right? Vote no on Prop 1. There's no proposal number yet. I'm calling it the scam amendment. Scam amendment. Sterilization, castration, abortion, and murder. The scam amendment. In politics, long names lose out to short names. So they're going to call it the they're going to call it the gender affirming and what's the other thing that the pro-aborts like to say about abortion? The gender affirming and Planned Parenthood or parental choice amendment. No, it's a scam amendment. Sterilization, castration, abortion, and murder. That's what it is. You guys need to get every single one of these Democrats on record about that amendment and the vote fraud amendment. They're calling it the promote the vote amendment or the steal the vote scam, something like that. That'll be what that one's called. Tim Kuhn says Rocky points out why the amendment will fail. I haven't seen what you are referring to. I assume by Rocky, you're talking about Rocky Rakowski. I will say whatever he said is wrong. The amendment will fail if and only if we say and do the right things between now and November. And we might or might not do that. You have to frame the issue correctly, mobilize people, organize people effectively. There's all kinds of ways that can go wrong. The amendments will fail, and they will also help us ride a red wave to victory in November if we use them effectively. But it is not in conservatives' nature to be effective. Tim Kuhn says 81% oppose full-term abortion. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That does not matter. Voters will not know that unless we explain it to them. You guys should read Confrontational Politics by Bill Richardson. It's like the right-wing version of Rules for Radicals. And yeah, you can say we will win, but no, we will. It's like the Sir Galahad theory of politics. We are in the right. So if only we show the people how right we are, we will win. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Stephen Goldstein says Kansas pro-life amendment failed tonight. There you go. There you go. All right. Anyway, back to watching the races. What are we left with here? Do we check on the third again? It's been just a few minutes. 60% in, and it's still pretty close. Pretty close. Let's see the county results again. Where are the county results coming from? Gibbs is winning in Ottawa, Muskegon, losing in Kent County, to the great shame of Kent County. But, look at that, though. Muskegon, 15% counted. How much of that's going to come in? How many more? I guess not much more. Don't have nearly as many, do they? It's not the whole county, is it? Sometimes these percentages of votes counted are off, too. So, Tim says he was on Fox 2, 10 o'clock. Who, Rocky? Mark says, well, thank God Rocky's stepping down. I didn't hear that. Interesting. Deb says, what was the name of that book you just mentioned? Confrontational Politics by H.L. Richardson. It is the most important political manual there is. You should also get Rules for Radicals. That's the Democrats version. But tactics are politically neutral. Get them both. All right. What else are we looking at here? Okay. Did I care about Hornberger that much anymore? Do I want to look at that again? Let's see here. Hornberger's won. Good for her. Oh yeah, 17th. We looked at that. I think we call that a win. It's not quite confirmed. It's not official. It's not called, but it looks good. Tice versus Detmer. I don't care about that one, but it's going to be Tice. Is that official yet? Not official. Not even close to official yet. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one. Tim Kuhn says Amber for chair. Honestly, Tim Kuhn, I hope not. I'll tell you the truth. I would not wish on anybody to be the county chair. I would never want to be a county chair. I wouldn't want ever to be county chair. Being county chair, everything I've told you guys tonight, a county chair can't say. What a county chair's got to say? Oh, everybody's a winner tonight. All these great people won. Now we got to all unify. We got to all support all these people, including all these rhinos. I would never want that. I mean, even working for the county party is a compromise on my freedom of speech that I would not want to make personally. But besides that, you know, the county chair's job is to raise money all day long. And Amber seems to actually kind of like fundraising. I don't like fundraising. I do it because I have to. I don't enjoy it. So, yeah. Now, Amber has a better skill set that is, as executive director, is dealing with people, organizing things, mobilizing. That's much more valuable than fundraising. The county chair's got to be somebody who is super rich and knows a bunch of other super rich people, who's a hobnobber, who can raise money. I mean, that's what the job is. And oftentimes the chairs are often they're high-powered lawyers who are doing a term of service as county chair so that they can be appointed by the next Republican governor to some kind of judicial appointment. That's how that often goes. It's not the job for people like us. Anyway, what else were we looking at? Senate 35. Has there been any news on that one? Annette Glenn, 37% in. Annette's got a comfortable lead there. That looks good. I'll call that a win for us, even though we didn't actually participate in that race much. I'm talking about what a fraud these people were. Where else were we? Hold on, guys. All right, I've been talking for a long time. My throat is getting very dry. I need more whiskey. Look at the 37th again, just to see if there's been any movement in that one. Cole getting beat by Demus. Still early, only 14% in. House 21. Let's check on that. Daniel Lawless in the chat. How you doing, Daniel? You must be biting your nails. Ooh, 72% in. Oh, it's not looking good, man. I'm sorry to hear. Sorry to hear, my good friend. Maybe we should have done more for you. Sad to see. For those who don't know the backstory on this, David Stout was Daniel Lawless's campaign treasurer. And Daniel Lawless knocked on tons of... Yeah, he says this is over. That's too bad. Daniel Lawless knocked on doors. David Stout did not. David Stout then filed against him, which is about as ethical as a defense attorney switching mid-trial to work for the prosecutor. Scum. So, but it's a tough seat to win against the Democrat anyway. So, Dan, look at the bright side, buddy. If you don't win in the primary, you are relieved of the duty of having to deal with voters for the next 3 months and the burden of service. So let David Stout get clobbered by the Democrat, and this from here on out, Novi voters have nothing to deal with, nothing to worry about, other than the governor, attorney general, and secretary of state races. And that's how that goes. And some people disagree with me. It's like, oh, well, I mean, by definition, Stout won the primary. That makes him the more effective candidate. Maybe so. I don't believe it personally. Stout, for those who don't know, has been a political consultant for rhinos for like decades. So that's probably where some of his support came from. But that being said, it is what it is, folks. Rescue Michigan did not get involved in that race. I donated to Daniel's campaign because I believe in him. I want to see him succeed. And so, yeah, let's Stout fall on his face. And, so it'll be ripe for takeover in 2 more years. Only 2 years you have to wait. So we'll see. Also, by the way, another race that the House Republican Campaign Committee very foolishly meddled in, spent money, recruited David Stout. So we'll see how well that goes for them. We shall see. Daniel Law says no regrets. Good for you, man. Good for you. Cheers to you for fighting the good fight. And may Novi have the representation that they deserve for the next 2 years, and maybe something better 2 years on. So, cheers to you. All right, so I guess we will have to mark that as an L. Maybe that will change. We'll see. Maybe more results will come in later. I don't know. But 10 points is hard to make up when you're got 28% left. All right, what else we got here? 28th. Let's take a look at the 28th. No results in at all. Oh, it's Wayne County. No wonder. Yeah, we've got nothing. What else? 31. Any more on that? Beniki pulling away. That might, let's see what the county by county results are on that one just to see, because that might vary a lot by county. If like Monroe is all in and others are not. Lunaway is just one precinct. Monroe, that's his home base. Nothing from Wayne. Nothing from Wayne. How is it almost a tie in Washtenaw with the 65% in. I campaigned for Holly at the polling place today. Nothing from Wayne County yet, so we'll see. Maybe something happens in Wayne County. My guess is nothing will, but that depends. Maybe Holly really knocked on doors hard in Wayne County. But my guess is the air support from the HRCC will probably shift that race. But hey, you know what, folks? This is why you never, ever give money to the Republican Party, because this is what they do. They spend it meddling in primaries and electing rhinos. I mean, they are actively attacking rhinos, or supporting rhinos and attacking conservatives in these seats. So, all right. Don't know about that one yet. Might be still too close to call. I mean, the media hasn't called it, so we'll see. But not looking good. But again, Wayne County. Don't know what Wayne County will do. Let's see. What else do we got here? 43rd, Rachel Smith. That's probably callable at this point. I don't know. This was a race this was the one of the ones that this is one of the races that Adam Kinzinger was telling people not to vote for the Trumpsters, and Rachel Smith, I think, was the Trumpster. Or maybe it was Philip Joseph. Well, and when Amber was on here, she said Rachel Smith's great. So we'll see. Where is the 43rd? Let's take a look at that question. Forty-third district. Yeah, on Rumble, Sully says, "Who watches TV anymore? Old people." And they vote more than young people do. 43. Where's the 43rd? 40, 41, 42, 43. Oh, okay. Oh, neat. Looks like a conservative seat. Allegan County. Ionia County. Okay. Patriot approved. Rachel Smith. Okay, we'll call that one a win then. Good. What else do we got? Let's see. Michelle Smith. Check on that one again. No results at all. Wozniak versus McCoskey. No results at all. Nothing coming from Macomb or Wayne County, it appears. Mark Cruniel says, my two wants to winner Angela Regas and Terrence McCoskey. I'm not so crazy about McCoskey, Mark, honestly. McCoskey ran for state senate in the special election and drew the Patriot vote away from Hornberger and got Steve Wozniak or Doug Wozniak or whatever it is, Doug Wozniak to the state senate. And now he's, and the first thing he actually did when he got to Lansing after the special House election was he voted for that big fat state House term limit extension. I mean, imagine you just get to Lansing. You won a special election. Your political career might only be 9 months. You might only have 9 months in Lansing. His opponent's Doug Wozniak, who's a now former state rep and coming down from state senate. You might only have 9 months in office. And the first thing that they put in front of you is a constitutional amendment that you don't understand. And tell you, oh, this will be great. This will be more flexibility and it'll be more for the people. And we're shortening term limits actually from 14 years to 12 and it'll be great. Okay, I'll vote for it. tampering with the fabric of the state constitution, not understanding the years and years and years of activism around Michigan's term limits law, not understanding that there is a legion of Lansing lobbyists who are former state lawmakers who are termed out, who are thirsty, desperate for their old seats back. And they want this constitutional amendment so they can run for their old seats back. And the Chamber of Commerce, we're going to spend millions of dollars to put this on the ballot. And you, the legislator, saved the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Compromise, the Chamber of Immigration and Amnesty, the Chamber of Big Government. Saved them millions of dollars. On your first vote, your precious few votes in Lansing, your first one to change the Constitution. This Terrence McCoskey for you. How foolish. And this is a problem, by the way, folks, not just with McCoskey, but with a lot of these Patriot candidates that we haven't seen yet because we haven't given them the opportunity to fuck up. But when they get to Lansing, a lot of them will be spun around overnight because they get there thinking they know everything and they don't know anything. That happens all the time. All the time. They don't have a healthy appreciation for the enormity of the challenge in front of them. They all think they know what they're doing. And they get spun around in an instant. It happened to McCoskey. So, does that make him any less preferable than Wozniak? No. But I'm not rooting for the guy anymore. Once they do something that dumb, they give them the opportunity to make contrition, to apologize or do better, make up for it. Do you see that happening with McCoskey? I haven't seen anything. What's his report card score? Probably doesn't have very many votes at all. But we'll just look it up. Minus 60. He voted right on the require ID to vote bill. That wasn't hard. Voted wrong on raising the age to buy tobacco. Another spin around. Oh, the federal government mandates this, and they're going to take away our money. Okay, well, I'll vote yes for this. I'll vote yes to codify in state law the deprivation of adult people's rights. Because there's money for special interests, free money for special interests. I mean, it comes from the American taxpayers, but it comes from Congress. It comes from Congress. If we leave this money on the table, it's going to go to other states or some other place. I don't know where it's going to go, but we want that government. We want that federal government money. So let's just diminish the rights of people, adults. Voted to create another government opioid commission. Oh, that's what we need. Another commission to study what's causing all the opioid problems. Wouldn't be the open border. Wouldn't be the lockdowns. Wouldn't be the psychos in the media and social media making people crazy. And this goes on and on. Look, what's McCoskey done? Has he gotten any vote right? No. The only vote he didn't manage to get wrong was require ID to vote, which every Republican voted for. McCoskey's in a complete fucking disaster as a state lawmaker. Complete disaster. And folks, this is one of the things I want to really work on. With some of these people that are winning, the good guys, John Lindsay, maybe even John Gibbs, I don't know. If he's going to make it to Washington, I might want to chat with him if I can. And the problem is once they get the nomination, suddenly they're in a different social class. They're no longer in the grassroots social class anymore. They're the nominee. Now they're talking to lobbyists. Now all the other Republicans in the House and Senate are going to be treating them like their future colleague. We're on the same team. We're on a team. We're all a team. We're going to get you over that finish line, buddy. That's how it shifts. That's how their peer group shifts. Another great book by that same Senator H.L. Richardson, What Makes You Think We Read the Bills, explains all of this. All of exactly how patriots turn into two-faced rhino scumbags when they get elected to office. Another book well worth reading and mandatory reading for anyone who wins the nomination. What Makes You Think We Read the Bills? Necromancer 0319 says, sorry if it's been said infinite times, but how would you have ranked the gubernatorial candidates? I don't know. 2, 2, 2, 3, 4 in no particular order. Alec News says, one way to eliminate the Fed holding out dollars as a carrot to get rid of federal income tax in the Fed. Mark Colonel says, need a book suggestion link on your page. Yeah, maybe. I know our page is outdated. I know it is. Yeah. At some point, we'll try to grow our organization more. Maybe we'll get to some point we can hire staff. We just spent all our money on campaign stuff. I mean, not all of it, but most of it. Trying to help out the good guys. Anyway, where were we? What else is going on here? Oh, Jackie Eubanks. That's right. We're going to check on her. How's Jackie Eubanks doing? Let's see. Getting beat. 7% in, though, so that could change if something geographical is going on there. But I don't know if you saw Sunday's show. I have no strong feelings about Jackie Eubanks. I've never met her, didn't pay much attention to that race in particular. Amber says she's kind of a wacko. Again, I'm just saying what she said on our show. I have no strong opinion about that. We did nothing in this race. I know she was endorsed by Trump. And I think Kinzinger meddled in that one as well. That doesn't mean that he was decisive. It also doesn't mean this is the decisive because it's only 7% in, so that could change. So don't care too strongly about that one. Not enough to even put it on the board. Like I said, we did not get involved in that one at all. 64, Beeler versus Eisen. Any change in this one? Beeler well ahead. Awesome. Count that a win. And this is one, folks. I know this was on nobody else's radar. It wasn't on my radar. What happened was we saw that Eisen and Beeler were competing for the same seat, which doesn't happen elsewhere. You don't see these. They've moved around. Like Kurt Vanderwall and I think Bumstead got drawn to the same Senate seat, so Vanderwall dropped down to run for state house. Same thing with Doug Wozniak and Ruth Johnson. Here they fought it out, and we looked at the scorecards, and Beeler was, to my surprise, because I thought Eisen was kind of like one of these more conservative types. If you don't know who Gary Eisen is, if you go to Gary Eisen's office in Lansing, he has free samples of bullets, of cartridges, 9mm, 40 cal, and 45. Two little cartridges in a little Ziploc baggie in like a candy dish on his website. He styles himself as a really pro two-way guy and all this other stuff. But he introduced this traffic camera bill. We met with him about this. He gave us this weird rambling explanation for why he supported it. The bill has been, he's like, oh, it's not going to go anywhere. We're just going to have a hearing on it. And the unions will like it. I'm like, I don't care what the unions like. They're our enemies. Oh, but this will help them. It'll get more leftists and liberals to support us and more union people to support us. I'm like, no, it won't. You have any idea how this works? Union members, like steelworkers, will vote for Trump in Macomb County, but union bosses are never going to vote for Republicans. This is brain dead strategy. But anyway, so he forced us to go to Lansing and testify against this stupid ass traffic camera bill that was going to stomp over the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, not the Second Amendment, the First, the Fourth, the Fifth, bunch of constitutional rights. You know, extremely corrupt pattern we've seen in state after state after state where these traffic camera companies bribing public officials because they make money hand over fist off of motorists. So Eisen really, really pissed us off on that one. And then seeing that he was competing with Beeler, I was like, okay, well, what did the records say? Beeler was actually in the positive zone. I left Lansing in 2020, so I don't know some of these first term people. Like Beeler came in 2021. I've never met the guy. But on a report card showed him in the positive zone, which is more than I can say for 90% of Republicans. And Eisen was well into the negative. So I'm like, okay, well, shoot. Let's weigh in here. Let's make a politician suffer for their bad behavior. Because, Eisen actually sponsored one of our election integrity bills, I think. Hey, look. Pretty sure he did. Man, my memory should be better. Let's see. Bills introduced by Gary Eisen. Hold on here. I'll pull this up on the screen so you guys can see it. Bills introduced by Gary Eisen. Yeah, see, here you go. Authorize automated photocop ticket machine traffic citations. Yeah, this was it. Election rules. Look at this. August 18th, 2021. June 3rd, 2021. He look at this. Repeal ban on brass knuckles. That's hilarious. 2A. Anyway, election rules package. This one of our bills. Revise election certification procedures for boards of county canvassers. Extend the required ballot retention period to 180 days. Month and a half later, authorize photocop ticket machine traffic citations. Yeah, this is one of our Rescue Michigan bills. House introduced bill. And what does it do? It says, if before the Board of State Canvassers completes the canvass, announces their determination of an election, member of the Board of County Canvassers affirms in a signed affidavit to the Board of State Canvassers that his or her vote on certification was made under duress, that member of the Board of County Canvassers may rescind his or her vote on certification. Why is that important? Because that happened in 2020. A mob with pitchforks and torches came to the Wayne County Board of Canvassers and they certified the election. And then they said, you know, that was made under duress. We want to decertify. And Jocelyn Benson said, tough shit. And there's something else here too. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the wimpiest. I think there's some document retention records that bring it up to like the federal, or at least extend them in state law from some months to longer months. The canvassing period is 3 weeks instead of 2, a few other things. One of the weakest bills. Anyway, the reason why I bring all this up, folks, normally our policy is if you're a bill sponsor for something that we're supporting, and this is, by the way, this is our rule, but it's the rule for any smart political organization. If you're trying to pass a law, you've got a bill sponsor, they're your champion. You protect your champions, right? Because if you don't protect your champions, you won't have more champions in the future. So Eisen was one of our bill sponsors, not a big one. So, you know, usually your attitude is, okay, well, he's our bill sponsor. We're not going to attack him. But at a certain point, we're like, look, Ann Boland blocked the bill. That particular one didn't do very much at all anyway. Then he did the traffic camera thing. And then he voted bad on a whole bunch of other stuff. At some point, I'm like looking at this like, you know, there's also value in sending a message to Lansing, which is that you don't know who we're going to strike or over what. So, yeah, we thought that was a nice race to get involved in. And it looks like Gary Eisen is going to pay a political price for bad behavior. And Andrew Beeler will be rewarded for his good behavior by the absence of pain. Because we did contact voters in that district and let them know about Gary Eisen's minus 150 score. And in particular, I think a couple of other bad votes in particular that were interesting. So, yep. By the way, guys, it's almost midnight. It is getting late. And my throat's getting sore. And this has been a long day for me and for everybody else. I don't know how late we can wait on Wayne and Macomb counties. Hopefully we see something soon. We'll do one more pass. We'll do one more pass on some of these key race results and see where things are. And then I'll just do a conclusion and we'll call it a night, and then we'll talk about everything else on our regular weekly live stream on Sunday night at 9 p.m. And by the way, since this is a good time to mention it, and I'm always bad at mentioning it anyway, if you like what I'm talking about, you like the kind of content, do you get this anywhere else, folks? Does anybody else anywhere talk about this kind of stuff in politics? Anywhere? If you like it, give us the like, the subscribe, the share, all that good stuff. That is important. On Rumble, M.I. Farmer asked who is winning the 106th M.I. rep district. That appears to be Cam Cavett. I have not heard of any of these people. We did not get involved in this. 17-point lead with 74% reporting. So that is almost, that's pretty much callable. Cam Cavett, let's see how he did on our survey. 100% yes. Cool. Larry Hall, I think, don't quote me on this. I think Larry Hall sent me a long letter explaining why he voted no on this one. A candidate survey did a bunch of stuff. Emergency powers, I think, was, let me see your question too. I think this was our question on should the government be able, will you vote to prohibit any entity from requiring proof of vaccination or any other drug usage as a condition of employment? And he said no, and he gave me this long letter, which is basically a free market. And said, okay, well, that's your opinion. That's fine. That's not our opinion. In my view, any contract that requires you to take an experimental drug as a condition of employment is untenable. It is grossly immoral and therefore on its face illegal. Same reason, I mean, law free market, would you allow contracts for slavery? Most people would say no. Okay, well, I mean, it's a moral question. If a company would say, I will give your family $10 million if you will be my slave for the rest of your life, is that agreement legal or not? Most people would say, no, that's unconscionable. A libertarian would say, yeah, sure, it's a private enterprise. Why not? So, you know, you can disagree. You can disagree. But our position is on top of that. The other issue is when people took these jobs in previous years, 2019, 2018, all the way back, people couldn't even imagine. They couldn't imagine they would be fired for not taking an experimental drug, falsely called a vaccine. So, breach of contract. I mean, adhesion contracts, which are problematic in the internet. That's where you go to a website. By visiting the site, you agree to our terms of service, which are that we can change our terms of service anytime at all and steal all your personal data, and we'll do whatever else we want. Those kind of contracts, they're called adhesion contracts. They're problematic in internet. They're rare in the real world. They're rare in the real world. So I would say all these vaccine mandates are not just unconscionable, they're also probably a breach of contract. You know, I mean, yeah, you could say, well, if it's an at-will employment, they can change the terms no matter what they want to do. Anyway, look, you can have your opinion. Larry Hill can have his opinion, or anybody else. Some people voted no on that question. I'm sure Steve Johnson would have. But our correct answer is yes. And if yours is different, you can explain that to the voters. But anyway, it looks like it won't really matter what Larry Hall's opinion is, because Cam Cavett is pretty well ahead in that race. Which tab am I looking? I got too many tabs open now. Here we go. Yeah, Cam Cavett. Okay, so 17 points ahead. Mark Cuniel says, Senator Tom Barrett, the Republican candidate for Michigan's 7th District. Good. Is that official? I mean, it would have been, obviously. Who else was running in that seat? Gibbs up again. Yes. Yes. We might stay online just to keep an eye on that race. Hima losing to Whitney Williams. You know, I hate to say it, folks. There might have been a last name issue with that one, and you hate to see it because there shouldn't have been. But that's unfortunate. I mean, that might not have been. I mean, don't get me wrong. And by the way, folks, this is an important point. Whenever the media is telling you about any campaign, especially a campaign in another state, especially a high-level campaign, it's all complete, total bullshit. Because unless you know the mechanics of a campaign, you don't know what's happening in a campaign. And that's true for all of these. That's true for all. I mean, well, a few of these, I talked to some candidates and got some general sense of things. But if you're not in a campaign, you don't know what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, how money's being spent, what's their ground game, what's their air game, what's their fundraising look like, what's the candidate doing, how engaged are people. If you don't see that, the poll numbers are meaningless. It's all spin, it's all buzz, it's all bullshit. All right, anyway. What were we looking at again? Tom Barrett. Yeah, he was unopposed to the primary. Of course he was. Okay, okay. Yeah. Tom Barrett, who scored a respectable 120 points, making him the second most conservative member of the state Senate, and therefore, second most? Yeah, Runstead did better. Okay. Runstead most conservative, Tom Barrett second most conservative by our standards. And of course, you can have your own. Worth supporting. That is a tough race. That is a race worth getting involved in. Alganu says Gibbs 1,200 votes swing. Awesome. We'll come back and look at that in a minute. I'm gonna go back over the state house one more time. One more time. Let's see. Oh, we'll look at this one more time. This is right here anyway. Gibbs up by 1 point. 53% in. Oh, it's still way too close to call. But better than 1.2% down. Mark Kerniel says in other news for that Amber Heard declares bankruptcy, but that's for another stream. Come on, Gibbs. Yeah, we touched on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff briefly in a stream a few weeks ago. That's not my bailiwick. Curtis and Michael ask, how did you score Bill Huizenga? We didn't score congressmen. We only scored state legislators, state house, state senate. I think early on the decision was we have to focus. There's only so many seats you can prioritize in Congress. The priority had to be the third and the Upton seat and the Meyer seat. And then when Upton got forcibly retired by the Redistricting Commission, thank you, Redistricting Commission. It's like, we can nitpick about Tim Walberg and Bergman and McLean and Huizenga, but you only have so many resources, and getting out Meyer is the priority. So, didn't say much of anything about Huizenga. Plus, Huizenga was endorsed by Trump to chase Upton out. So, what's the point of trying to work against that? All right. Where was I? 58, Michelle Smith. I think last time we saw nothing. $58? Where's 58? Oh, there it is. Still nothing. Any motion in the 66th? Nope. Any motion in the 67th? Nope. Any motion in the 72nd? There won't be. Nope. Any motion in the 78th? We did go in on this one. Gina, well ahead. I will call that a win. I send Gina an invite. I will send it now. She probably won't be available. She's probably at a victory party and will not even see this. All right. I sent an invite to Gina. Mark Kerniel says, we'll leave Amber to Rekieta Law. Yeah, and tons of law YouTubers got a huge new audience from covering the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, and that's great. It would have been nice if we had coverage of the People versus Lucas Gerhard case, but it was vastly more important that Lucas did not have his life and liberty in jeopardy. And so because of our pressure, calling that we filed petitions to the court to live stream that trial, and as a direct result of that, the court basically ordered the prosecution to give Lucas a plea bargain he could not refuse. And Lucas's well-being, it's his life on trial, so didn't happen that way. But yeah, Rekieta Law. I watched Nick Rekieta's show from the very first episode, like 4 years ago. Like the very first. And I've seen him go to incredible success on the YouTubes. And there was basically three, I think, major steps of it. The first one was the lawsuit, as it was called. That was well, I'm not going to tell for you guys who are watching, you don't know the whole story, but anyway. It was a very bizarre, ridiculous lawsuit involving two internet personalities. The second thing was a high-profile defamation case. It was a Me Too cancel culture case involving a very prominent voice actor in an anime, which is a nerd community, and then most recently the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So he's he's built his fan base up over these big, high-profile public stories, and in particular, and actually that second one I mentioned, the Vic Mignogna case, the anime voice actor, that was one where Nick was able to actually affect the outcome for Vic through his show, and that was amazing to see him go from being an observer to being a player. And that was really amazing to see and inspiring. It's part of the reason why I stream. Because as you guys can tell, we're not here just to comment and talk about what's going on. We're here to impact what's going on, and this is just one part of it. So anyway, Alganu says waiting for Lucas to be off probation so he can speak freely and tell his story. Me too. And it's only been a couple of weeks since he has pled out on his case. I know they're regrouping. They're thinking what they're going to do next. And I think they needed a break from all of it, from all the stress. So, it takes time, when you're in a situation, certainly a self-defense type situation, but a legal situation is like that, where your life is on the line. Alganu says Rittenhouse. Yeah, that too. Rittenhouse, right. Yep. Rittenhouse also. So yeah. Anyway, would love to see my channel take off the way Nick's has. I don't see that happening for reasons I've talked about earlier. Mark Colonel says, how do you plead out like that? You get the offer from the prosecutor. You can't plead to, you can't take a plea bargain without someone coming to the table. They were not going to take a plea. They were not going to give him a plea bargain that he could possibly accept. And then when they heard that the internet was coming to film the trial so that the world could see firsthand how the prosecutor and judge had been fucking him over, destroying that kid's rights for the past 3 years, then suddenly said, all right, how about we'll just give you some probation, no reporting, no nothing, just stay out of trouble for a year and you're good. Never mind the 3 years time served. But that would not have happened had it not been for the public interest in the case. Alganu says, Nick is why I found you. Hey, well, thank you for being here, Alganu. Make sure you subscribe to us on Rumble or even on Facebook, because we are often not on YouTube. If you go to our videos archive on YouTube, you're missing most of them. But you can go to rescuemichigan.com where you can see all of our old videos. I think I got to update the last week or so of videos, the newest ones, but they're all on our Rumble channel. You cannot talk about elections and campaigns, honestly, on YouTube most of the time. Even if you don't even say the forbidden thing, they will ban you they'll strike you just for talking about the election. And then maybe a week later, they'll honor your appeal. So yeah, they are terrible. And look, I get it. I can't help but watch YouTube a lot of times because people that I want to see are only on YouTube, and that's sadly just the way it is. So, all right, folks, let's just do one more review of whatever other races I wanted to watch. And so far, we've seen nothing from Macomb or Wayne County, which is really aggravating. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So we're going to have to call it a night. Actually, I don't see any of the races we were particularly following. So we've been through a lot overall, and there may be some things I missed. Let me see here. Gibbs, Lindsay, Lawless, Beeler, Gina. Hold on, I'm going to make a note of everything that we were involved with. I'm sorry, I'm thinking 20 sec. Okay, Necromancer asks 22nd state senate opinions. Let's see. Is that the Lana Tice seat? Did a whole rant about that earlier. 22nd. Yeah, Tice versus Detmer. Half in. I'm amazed how well Detmer has done, given how many factors were in Lana's favor. Other than the horrible thing she did with the McBroom report, but otherwise, a very good state senate record by our numbers, the third most conservative state senate record. Usually you don't like to go after people that are that good, but I can completely sympathize and agree with people that said what she did signing off on that McBroom report, that was intolerable. I fully agree with that perspective as well. but supported by tons and tons of establishment money, supported by Rhino impeacher Adam Kinzinger's money. Democrats may have crossed over to vote for her in that primary. Maybe. Probably not, but possibly. All those things going in Lana Tice's favor, Detmer did pretty damn respectable. In fact, exceptional. I thought it was going to be like 75-25, to be honest with you. I did not see any path to victory for Detmer. And you know, he's probably not going to win with the numbers that he's got there. But I think, and I wouldn't expect he would, just given the inequity of forces on there. But what I would say is this. That race sent a powerful message to the Lansing establishment that fucking with us on the election results and sicking your Attorney General, Dana Nessel, on people for questioning the results of the election is a complete disgrace, and we will not put up with it. And Detmer's not going to probably beat Lana Tice, but the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the DeVosses and Adam Kinzinger, and maybe the Democrats even, spent in that race is because of one stupid thing Lana did that she could have apologized for but chose not to. Signing off on that McBroom report. That's what we call giving someone a run for their money. And Detmer did good work in that respect. Mark Kerniel says, this is showing Detmer a player from here on out for us. Maybe. Maybe. He will always be an enemy of Lansing money from now on. But, you know, maybe, you know, he ran for Congress 2 years ago. Maybe it's a burden he can overcome running for state rep in an open seat, maybe even state senate in an open seat in 4 years. I don't know. I don't know what his ambitions are. Anyway, I wanted to give you guys a rundown on all the races that we got involved in. And some of them we won. Well, I say we won. We didn't advocate for anything. We just informed voters. There's a distinction there. But some things we did worked out better than others. And that's kind of how that goes. I mean, if we spent your money, and make no mistake, it's because of your support that the Rescue Michigan Coalition exists. If we spent all of your money backing patriots who all lost, that would seem like a bad use of your money, would it not? Picking bad fights. And based on who won and lost tonight, in various places around Michigan, some of you guys took on bad fights. I hate to tell you. Now, on the other hand, if every single candidate that we supported won tonight, what would that tell you? What difference did we really actually make? Because how safe do you have to play it if every candidate that you support wins? Out of, and again, I say support, I mean inform the voters, you know, not express advocacy or nothing. But we ran a voter education program in, let me see, 9 districts. Congress, 1 state Senate seat, 7 state House seats. From my count, and 10 if you count Lawless, which we didn't because Amber and Shane had to stay neutral. They didn't want me to get involved. But I personally supported Lawless. Angela Regas is winning. Let's check on that one again. Thank you for reminding me, Mark. Let's see there. And we'll check on John Gibbs one more time as well. Oh, let's see here. Regas killing it, 15% in. I'll tentatively call that a win. We did support her. And again, look, she, it was a blowout. I guess we didn't need to, but you guys, we don't know these things until the results are out. Surveys can tell you something, but they can't tell you everything. Gina Johnson, winning. Angela Regas, winning. Jonathan Lindsay, winning. Gibbs versus Meyer. Let's see where that is right now. Nail biter. Gibbs still up 60%, looking good. I mean, it's still possible Meyer comes through. Let's look at the county results again. These are important. Oops, I just closed them. Let me open them again. Because these are telling. Kent County is the old seat. That's his home turf. 57% in. Ottawa, more came in for Ottawa County. So that's not good, actually, because that means more positives came in for Gibbs there. So it's a close one. Glad we got involved in that one. And some of our people that we wanted to see succeed didn't win. Again, not Rescue Michigan. We didn't spend any donors' money on that. My personal money was on Daniel Lawless, and I'm happy to have done it. Doesn't look like Holly Valaire's going to make it. We'll get that one more time, but I don't think so. Just to see. Yeah, Banky's probably pulling away on that one. Yeah, but we'll. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not entirely sure because again, Wayne County hasn't come in on that one. That's like half the district, so not sure. Don't know about that one. Phil Green, we put some into supporting, well, mostly into attacking Phil Green. Didn't work out, unfortunately. I didn't know that it would anyway, because that race was like, people that told me in that district were like, this race is a jungle. There's like 10 people running. Probably should not have bothered, but we didn't put in a lot of money into that one at all. Just a short, brief thing pointing out Phil Green's atrocious record. So overall, some of the races we haven't even gotten to see Jamie Thompson's results because Wayne County. Let's just see if that's come in yet at all. Nope, no answers in there. So, I mean, this is kind of exactly the results I was looking for tonight. Honestly, is we won some, lost some, and some we don't know yet. So we'll see. And that's the sweet spot. That is where an organization should be. That's where it should be. We fought the good fight in some places, but we were straddling the line of looking for campaigns where we could make a difference. And when those are your targets are places where you could make a difference, and you're avoiding places where you either can't make a difference or won't need to make a difference, then you're wasting donors' money. So I hope the results for tonight have generally shown that we spent people's support wisely, which was our goal. So that's it, folks. There's a lot more we could talk about. We could talk more about Tudor Dixon. We could talk more about some of these campaigns, the candidates. I'll be honest with you. I am exhausted. My throat is really sore now. I think we will call it a night. But thank you all for joining me. We have a lot to be happy about. Obviously, the big thing we don't know yet is what the final result will be in the 3rd congressional district. And that's too bad. But, look, I'm not going to stay up all night waiting for it because it could certainly take that long. and God knows about Wayne County. Isn't it weird how 82 other counties can get the results in, but Wayne County just can't? That's so weird. I wonder why that would be. But overall, good stuff. Cheers to everybody who fought the good fight. Cheers to everybody who stood for the candidates that they supported, who put in the work. Cheers to Jonathan Lindsay, to Angela Regas, to Rachel Smith, to Andrew Beeler, Gina Johnson, and everybody else who fought the good fight. And even if you didn't win, you, I'm sure, learned a lot and are able to build a lot from your experience. So, as always, guys, thanks for all that you do for Liberty. Have a great, restful night. Take some time off from politics. The rest of the week, I would say, wait for things to settle down a little bit. We'll see how the general season starts to shape up pretty soon. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about on our regular Sunday night live stream. All right, guys. Thanks for all you do for Liberty. Peace.